Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Backlog Battlin, where me and Neo sit down and we talk about the video games that we are playing through in our backlogs. And hello, Neo. How you doing, buddy?
Good evening, doing well. Hope you are doing better this evening. Well, you and your crew at where your abode.
Yeah, yesterday I had a slight family emergency to take care of. Nothing major, just something came up last minute. And of course, sometimes those things have to take up. So we originally were going to do this show next year, ironically enough, and then Brian canceled on me today because he's feeling under the weather. So we were like, hey, let's just do yesterday's episode today. So it was only off by a day. And now we're going to do it. This is going to be our episode dedicated to our top 5 backlog games of 2025, which basically is no new games, just all older games from last year and beyond. So, Neo, what do you have to say so far about like the games that you played this year that are not, from this year? I guess you could say so far.
Well, first off, I just want to say thank you for accommodating me because when you told us that we're going to be talking about 20 instead of what we've been playing like this last week, so we're going to be talking about our 2025 games, and that is going to be the topic of our first top 5 when it returns in January. So thank you for accommodating me so I don't spoil that list entirely. That we made this one just our backlog games. So thank you again for that. So there will be some crossover between that list and this list, but I don't know how much crossover there will be. But anyways, as for your question, it has been a lot of fun. This challenge that you issued has definitely altered what I would have played this year by a lot. I ended up playing some things that I was not a fan of, but I also played some stuff that I greatly enjoyed, which we'll definitely be getting into. So you haven't talked about if you want to continue this challenge into next year. I don't think you were planning on it, which I would be okay either way. Because there is stuff that I would like to play that doesn't work well for the challenge. But if I have more incentive to kind of do what we've been doing, I would be inclined to keep that going. So that is totally up to you. But I've been enjoying this challenge that you've issued us with all the rules and stuff. It's been a lot of fun. So thank you for that as well.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna do a part 2 next year, only because some things are just like been, how do you say, hectic for us, and it just seems like it's going to be another hectic year. But I think I'll just keep the make a new thread on my Discord channel. We just kind of keep it going like a more casual thing, like, oh, here's the games we're beating, kind of talk about it, and just kind of keep that going, keep that vibe going a little bit, at least so like you can see what people are playing and everything like that.
That sounds good. Because I run a Metroidvania year-long contest. I've been doing it for 4 years now over on my Xbox group with the Achievement Hunting 101 Discord, and I decided that this is going to be the last year for that as well, just because interest has waned. But I am still going to keep the Metroidvania of the month going. So we'll vote on that, and let the fate decide what the Metroidvania of the month is going to be every month. So I'm going to keep that alive despite ending the contest itself. So I totally understand.
Yeah, like this was a good little experiment. We tried it out, and I say it went pretty good so far. But it's just like with everything that's been going on with like vacations and everything, it's just like, oh man, life gets in the way, and you're trying to find time, and especially because next year we want to travel more, we got to figure some stuff out. But I feel like it's just I like talking about the games that we've been playing. That's why I kind of wanted to do this show. And I do like, having that running list of like how many games have I beaten in a year and everything else. I'm trying to close out the year with at least 60 going forward. And right now I think I'm at 56.
Okay.
So like that's kind of like what I just like doing. I got the idea because like everyone on Twitter that like you follow that's like an actual gamer will be like, oh, they make like a Twitter thread every year as their pinned tweet.
Oh yeah, I'd nenever seen that before this year, but I've seen a few. I've come across a few of those this year.
Yeah, so that's kind of like what I like doing. I was like, that's a good idea, because at least you could have like a track record of like, I beat this game on this day. This is what I was playing. Like, I went through a stretch of like these games during that time, and generally speaking, I think that's like cool. It's good. It's a way to like for everyone to see what you're doing in like one condensed place and have comments on it and so on and so forth. And like Like I said, it's just talking about games. What a novel idea for running a gaming show. What a fucking concept, right?
And um, I've never really like paid that much attention to like everything that I like did in a year. Although typically I could go back and look at it because almost everything I've always played is an Xbox. But with this challenge, it's definitely incentivized. Well, two things have incentivized me a lot to play non-Xbox stuff. That is one is Dude, who got me into retro achievements, and then two is this contest, which incorporates or encompasses all platforms, not just one, just Xbox. So those two things combined, other than Xbox, my most played stuff are old retro games.
Yeah.
So I could go and look at everything I played for Xbox for a year, but I wouldn't be able to do that with any other platforms. But since you introduced me to Fuse and Game Shelf, which I've just been loving both of those,
Yeah.
I have a running list on both those platforms for all the games I beat, regardless of what platform. Over the course of this year, I'm going to start doing that going forward every year. So every year I'll have a list. You can go here and see all the games I beat this year. And here's 2025, 2026, 2027, and on. So I can go back and look. Oh yeah, regardless of what platform it's on. So
Yeah.
thank you for introducing, stumbling across those so I could learn about them as well.
Yeah, we made some good friends with some of those people this year too. That's for sure.
Shout out to Tyler from Game Shelf. He will be our guest on Party Chat on Tuesday.
Yes, and he'll be on the show tomorrow for our end of the year celebration.
Awesome. He's a good dude.
Yeah, you're kind of roboting too, Neo, just to give you a heads up. And your camera's kind of like freezing in and out a little bit.
I may drop. If so, I'll be right back.
All right, you want to just do that now while we wait for a second? All right, cool. And then we got Mr. October Mike joining up saying, sup, what's up, Mike? Good to see you, buddy. And there you are, Neo.
All right. Hey, it didn't drop me. Awesome.
All right, you sound better and your camera looks like it's going better. So just need to quickly leave and come back. Okay. Neo, you're also taking care of timestamps, right?
Oh, I forgot, but I will absolutely do that.
Yeah, just bring that up real quick and we'll get you started right away. So first we're going to start off the show talking about the games in our backlogs that we didn't like. And Neo, I know you had more than me. So I would like you to start with 2 and then we'll bounce back and forth, okay? So you had 5, if I recall correctly, right?
Yeah, I got a couple dishonorable mentions that I actually didn't write down. But yeah, so I created a list of like 5 categories of games that came out this year that I beat, games that I beat this year that did not come out this year. Just my list of top games that I played this year, regardless of when they came out, the games that I played this year that I disliked the most, and then a list of games that came out this year that I didn't get to play that I really wanted to. So I was like, hey, in addition to talking about what we did really like, we should at least go over some of the things that we didn't like as well, because due to this challenge, I played some games that I was not a fan of. So there it is. So, okay. So these are in no particular order, but a couple of games that I did not like, I'll go ahead and start off with these because these 2 are actually from the same franchise. So that actually works well. And that is my second favorite franchise of all time is Metroid. So because of our challenge, you get multiple bonus points for playing multiple games in the franchise, and you also get more bonus points if you play the original version rather than like a remake. So I've played Metroid Zero Mission, which is the Game Boy Advance remake of the original Metroid from NES, but I'd never played original Metroid. Yeah. Just like I had never played original Metroid 2 from Game Boy, I had only played AM2R, which is actually a fan-made remake. So I went back and I played the original NES Metroid and Metroid 2 from Game Boy, and then did Super Metroid. However, Metroid 2, a lot of people hate on that one. I think it is a lot better than most people say it is. But the original Metroid, that game is not good. I despised almost every second of playing that game. It is awful. There's a bunch of little quality of life tweaks that could be made that would make it a drastically better game. But it is just, there are so many things wrong with that game. It was painful, and I did not enjoy it at all. That is the first one I wrote down, because I've been arguing with people, on Twitter just within the last week that are like, oh, the original Metroid's a good game. It's like, no, it is not. It is not a good game. You can like it. It could be your favorite, but you cannot, in earnest, tell me that the original Metroid is a good game. It might have been mind-blowing at the time, 37 years ago, or however long 1986 was. But it is not a good game. So I did play that for the first time. I will be playing it multiple other times because I played the NES version, but there's a couple other releases of it as well. It's the original NES version, like they re-released it on Game Boy Advance. I'm gonna play that one as well. And there's also, you can unlock it within Metroid Prime. You can also unlock it within Zero Mission. So I have a few more times to play it. But that is one. And then the other one is at the other end of the spectrum. Because from Metroidvania Monday, I started at the beginning of Metroid, although Metroidvania Monday started with Zero Mission, not the original Metroid. But after I got through all the mainline 2D games, I played the Prime games, and then I finished off with Other M. And I had played it originally when it came out in like 2010, I want to say is when it came out. And I thought, it wasn't that great, but it also wasn't terrible. And then I replayed it again this year for the first time in like 15 years. Oh my gosh, I hate that game so much now. And I'm going to be playing it again because Retro Achievements is adding Wii support in March. So I'll be playing it again for achievements. But that game is just also so bad, but for entirely different reasons than the original NES Metroid. So I was not a fan of, but one thing that is similar is that there's a lot of little quality of life tweaks that you could make to it and make it a drastically better game. It's just some of the design decisions in both the original Metroid and Other M were just so bad. But a lot of people harp on the gameplay. The gameplay is actually pretty good. Was developed by Team Ninja. It's just a lot of the design decisions are very antithetical to Metroid. So those are the first two that I wanted to mention that I played that I did not have fun with.
All right. Very cool. Sorry that those games did not meet your expectations. Then we got Ando saying here, big backlog for me was finally putting PC 106%ing Crash 4 to rest.
Oh, that's right. He mentioned that on one of my streams recently. That is mad impressive because Crash 4 is crazy difficult.
Yeah. Now sort of into what now after that mountain?
Yeah, it's like, now what do I do? I totally know that feeling.
Now what? For me, I tried my first game I didn't like. I tried to replay The Last of Us Part 2 for our challenge for games that we don't like. And oh, good golly molly, I can't do it. I just can't do it. You know, the writing in that game is just so bad. Like it's just so bad. It's not like it's a bad game, but I am trying my damnedest to like put behind like my own bias of like, you know, yesteryear and trying to look at it again from a fresh perspective. And now that I have even more of a perspective to listening to all this stuff like this, the game just comes across even more pretentious and just terribly written. And I don't usually have that. It's just like, I just couldn't do it. Like, I'm at the scene. I'm playing it on easy. I was trying to play it on easy just to kind of plow through the game too. That was like another thing. And I'm just sitting there and I'm just like having these kids like in a snowball fight. And like, I want it to be over with. And they won't end it because we're playing it on easy. So they just won't end it. So I just have to basically stand in front of these kids and let them just pelt Ellie with snowballs. And we're on this big adventure, you know. It gets past obviously the big scene with Joel being taken out with like golf clubs and that, and I'm just like, what am I doing with my life? Just what am I doing now? I don't find the story interesting. I'm actually finding it more of a drag than when I first originally played it, because I got about like halfway through the game the first time before I finally gave up. This time I got to Seattle, and I'm just like, I was just over it. I'm just over it after a certain point in time. I really can't stand the story. I'm noticing a lot more things now that I'm actually, you know, paying attention and giving it the old college try. And I just couldn't do it. It's just, look, I know like it won a lot of awards. I know a lot of people like that game. You know, a lot of people swear by the story. And I'm trying not to be that guy who just like hears something and has to go like, "Are you fucking mad?" You know, like now because I'm trying to be more objective and try to like accept other people's, views. Is like, okay, this is art. It's subjective. We're having that view, but it's just I don't see it. I don't see why you people like The Last of Us Part 2. If you just told me I like the gameplay and you don't care about the story, I could see that perspective. But when people tell me like this is a great story and everything else, I just don't see it. What are you people like on? Like you're talking to a guy who used to be a drug addict who used to see like colors and shit that don't exist anymore in his mind. And I still couldn't even probably process Last of Us 2 as like this good story, on the days I was tripping the highest on acid. All right? So like help me out here.
I know that feeling because there's a few movies that people are like that. They're like, "Oh, this movie's like one of the greatest movies ever," and I'm like, "I hated that movie. It sucked balls." And
I know.
do not comprehend how you can like it.
I know. It's like, look, I say this all the time about The Last of Us Part 2 and Naughty Dog in particular. They make good games in terms of like actually looking at the games. They're beautiful, they're well designed, they're well optimized, and like there's really good gameplay mechanics behind them. There's a lot of fucking talent at that studio. But ever since Uncharted Part 3 to now, like it's either been mediocre or bad for writing.
Mediocre at best.
Yeah, mediocre at best. Like Last of Us 2, people always talk well, The Last of Us, I should say, the original one. People talk about that all the time to me. As like this is like their God. They're like they saw Jesus. The Messiah came upon them and told them that like you just need to follow the Bible and you will live through life properly. That's how people talk about The Last of Us with me. And I played The Last of Us and I'm like, it's a good game, but I think it's way overhyped and I don't understand the praise it gets after playing them as much as I do. But it resonates. It just resonates,
Yeah, I haven't played them. Since a lot of the PlayStation exclusives have been coming to Steam. I do want to play the first one eventually, just because I've heard how good it is. But I've heard it's not that the gameplay is bad, but it doesn't seem like it's anything to write home about. I've heard more so that the story of the game is amazing than the actual gameplay. So,
see, I disagree with that part because I think the Last.
That's just what I've heard.
Yeah, I think the Last of Us 1's gameplay is solid. Not so much for shooting, but I don't think shooting mechanics in PlayStation games have ever been that great, to be honest with you. I don't know what it is, but I think the first-person shooter genre is just done better on everyone but a Sony first-party studio. And that's just funny to say out loud, but their melee combat I thought was like the best part in those games. And
Okay.
and yeah, I would say like it's a good game. I would say like I would give it a B. But the people who give it an A plus, I'm like, I don't see an A plus. I could be persuaded by this thing, but personally, that's not an A plus for me.
Yeah, on the similar to that, but kind of flipped around to the other side. It's kind of like with this game that I'm playing right now, the sequel to, like I said, my
Metroid.
second favorite franchise of all time. People are bashing on it. I saw someone just yesterday saying it's been long enough because it's been out for like 3 weeks now or something.
Mhm.
And he said Other M is better than Prime 4.
Oh, I saw
you
that.
are completely retarded if you think that and are not saying that ironically.
Oh, I don't believe that. I think it's just bait.
It has to be because, it's different than the other 3 Prime games, but it still feels like a Prime game. Like Other M doesn't even feel like a Metroid game. You could, if it didn't have, if you swapped out, if you changed the color palette of Samus, and changed her name, there's really nothing in it, almost nothing in it that would tie to the Metroid franchise. Prime 4 still looks and feels like a Prime game. It's just like probably my biggest issue with it is the world design is very different. That's the biggest thing in my opinion compared to the other Metroid Prime games. But other than that, the game is perfectly fine. It's not, it's not amazing, but it's not Other M levels of bad, not by a long shot.
No, there's nothing wrong with a game like just being good. Like I think another problem too is like console warriors have really ruined this like conversation online too, just as much. Where if a game is like a C, then that means it's fucking the worst game ever. You know what I mean? It's like, like for people out there who are not from the American education system, like if something scores like a 70 and to a 79. That's like a C grade here in the U.S. system, or it was when I was in school. Now it just seems like it's whatever feelings you have in Illinois public education system, then that's what they'll give you.
Yeah. What do
But
you feel like you deserve you get on this test?
yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
that's not the way it's supposed to work.
But like that's how it was for me growing up, and I'm 34 as the time of this recording. But that's there's nothing wrong with a game just like being like good to great. Like good is like a C grade to me. It's like average. It's not bad. It's not offensive. Like yeah, there are things that could be better, but I didn't hate wasting my time on it.
Yeah, I would put Anthem in that category.
Yeah, and like it just feels like everyone's like, oh, it has to have like a 90 Metacritic, and everyone needs to fawn over it to the point now everyone hates it because it's too popular. Ergo, Expedition 33. It's just like it's one of those things where it's just like, it is what it is. But that's just the long and short of my Last of Us 2 thing. It's a solid game, but I can't get past the story. I'm just ruined, and this is just like all on my personal experience. I played the game. I'm not a huge Last of Us fan too right away, so I'm not going to be like one of those people who goes like, oh, I always loved Last of Us and this ruined it for me. I'm like, I was never super impressed by it, and it just got worse in my opinion. So that's one of my 3 games I did not enjoy. So Neo, why don't you get another one out of the way too?
And it's funny, you played that because that's on your list of you'll get bonus points for playing games that, one of your games you picked for one of the games you hate.
Yeah.
All of my games were ones I just ended up playing coincidentally that I ended up not liking. They were not on my list of games that I was going to play this year to get bonus points because I hated them.
Yeah, I'd rather fucking watch like my balls get hammered than fucking The Last of Us Part 2 ever again.
So, all right. So another one that I was not a huge fan of, Brian gives me a lot of hate about this, or not hate. He teases me because like, oh, Neo hates Mario. It's like, no, I don't hate Mario. I just think he's massively overrated. The games are okay, but they're not like amazing. Like people are putting like these Mario games in like their top 3 games of all time. That's perfectly what you were talking about. I don't understand that. I literally cannot comprehend how that can be in your top 3 games of all time. Literally any Mario game, it doesn't matter which one. So I can't comprehend that. But
also, one sec, we should preface too. Neo hates Italians. That's also another thing.
But anyways, because of this challenge, one of the we each challenge each other to a game as well, and the game that Canadian challenged me to was Mario Sunshine. So my plan was I was start at the beginning and work my way all the way up to Sunshine because I'm actually looking forward to playing Sunshine. I've never played it before, but I started all the way back to the beginning. I didn't play the NES version for the bonus points for playing NES. I am playing the Super Mario All-Stars, which is the Super Nintendo version, because that's actually the cartridge that I have. After a lot of frustration, I did beat the Mario 1, but the Super Nintendo version. My biggest issue with that one is just the last level on World 8 has no power-ups at all. So you literally cannot get hit the entire level. Otherwise, you have to start all the way over. So that was incredibly frustrating. But the game overall wasn't bad. It's when I got to Mario 2. I've beaten Mario. So the Super Mario All-Stars has Mario 1, has Mario 2, and Mario Bros. 3, and the Lost Levels on it. This was probably the second video game probably the third video game I ever owned as a kid, because my first video game ever was Super Mario World, came with my Super Nintendo. And then I'm pretty sure I got Star Fox for Christmas that year as well. So I just wasn't in the box. They got it for me separately. So I opened up my Super Nintendo that had Super Mario World bundled in, and then my next present was the original Star Fox. I don't remember if it was that year or the following year, but I also got Super Mario All-Stars for Christmas one year. So that was probably the third game I ever owned. I am almost positive that I beat all 4 of those games on that cartridge as a kid. I can't say that for certain, though, because I don't remember. I do know that I beat Mario's 1, 2, and 3. Lost Levels, I'm not entirely sure about, but I was planning on playing through Lost Levels, but I'm stuck on World 2-3, I think it is. And so I don't know how you can possibly clear this gap, because the gap is like way too far that you literally, I don't know how it's physically possible to make the jump, but crazy nut job speedrunners who are like pixel perfect gods at this game can do it. But me as a mere mortal can't do it. But anyways, I gave up on that. I'm like, all right, since that's kind of a spin-off, it's not the actual Mario 2, although technically that was Mario 2 in Japan. And what we got as Mario 2 was actually a different game, reskinned to be Mario, and that was Doki Doki Panic, which I learned this year.
You just learned that this year, really?
Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of Mario, so I did not know that. But I moved on to Mario 2, and I hate this game. I was just talking with Brian on Twitter yesterday, the day before. He loves Mario 2, and I literally don't understand how. Okay, I won't say I hate this game, but I really, 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 really dislike this game. It is drastically different than Mario's 1 and 3. And I have been stuck on this game. Let's see here. Because all my retro games, I'm playing for retro achievements. I am still on World 2. And the way it works is that, although the way the live system works is kind of similar to Mario 1, because if you run out of lives, you have to start the whole world over again. But the thing is, with Mario 1, you could basically, I think it's the very first level, there's a hidden 1-up like pretty early in the level. So you can go get the 1-up, save and quit the level, and just keep redoing that as many times as you want. And then you can stack your lives up, and then go try World 8 or whatever world you're trying to beat. You can't do that in Mario 2, and you only have like 4 lives, and there's like 4 levels, and like each world, it's just really weird because you have to like flip back and forth between this like dark world and you only have 2 hearts, and then you die, and so you can get more hearts, but you have to go into this dark world and hope that in the 5 seconds you have there's an item there that will expand your health. And you have to fight like Birdo at the end of the 4th level every time. And some of the platforms that you're on are just like make it really difficult. And the angle at which she shoots eggs, you have to jump on the egg, then lift up the egg, and then hope you don't fall into a pit, and then throw it at her without her shooting another one, because otherwise the eggs will collide. And the angle at which you throw is just really weird. So you have to get really close, and you have to hit her like 3 or 4 times. And there's not a lot of room to maneuver in order to move on to the next world. So, and you only have a couple of lives. And if you die too many times, you have to do the whole world over again. Some of these levels, you piss off like the sun. It's kind of like the sun, but they look like the sun, but they're different. And you got to go through this level and then pick up like the key, and then you have to go back through the level in the opposite direction while this like circle is chasing you. And I just really, really, really do not like this game at all. And like I said, my plan was to go from Mario 1, then Mario 2, then Mario 3. Once I get through Mario 2, the rest will be pretty smooth sailing. So I'm actually looking forward to playing Mario 3 because I haven't played it since I was a kid. And then Super Mario World, like I said, my very first video game ever. I have played it a few times in my adult life, but it's probably been 10, 15 years since I played it last. So I am looking forward to playing through Super Mario World again. And then I was going to go on to Mario 64 because I completely forgot that Yoshi's Island even exists until Dude mentioned it while we were on Achievement Chasers. He's like, wait, you're forgetting one. I'm like, what am I forgetting? He's like, Yoshi's Island. I'm like, I forgot that game existed because I never played it. So after Super Mario World, I'm going to do Yoshi's Island for the first time. And then I'm going to do Mario 64, which I haven't played since it was basically new. And then I'll finally get to Sunshine for the first time. But all that to say is I started Mario 2 in June. And I have only beaten World 2, and I'm pretty sure there's 8 worlds. So, just like most of the franchises I was planning on getting through from start to end this year, I did not get very far at all in my Mario games. But once I get through Mario 2, I'll burn through the rest of it because another thing that I was going to say is that I am going to keep play through the whole franchise thing. I'm going to keep that going forward.
Yeah.
because another franchise I was planning on doing that for was the Zelda franchise. I've never played the original Zelda or Zelda 2. Just like Metroid, I'd never played Metroid or Metroid 2 before this year. I was going to play the original NES Metroid or Zelda and Zelda 2. So even though I didn't get to it this year, I'm still going to do that. And then Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, which I haven't played in a long time, because like I said, Wii is getting retro achievement support in March. And so that way I'll be ready. I'm planning on getting through it before March so that I'll be ready to play Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword again for retro achievements.
Okay.
So once I get through Mario 2, I should be able to burn through the rest of them much quicker because those will actually be mostly enjoyable.
Okay, right on, right on. Also, fun fact, did you know that the original manuals of Mario 2 said Birdo was a tranny?
No?
Yeah.
That was even a thing back in the early 80s?
Yeah. In the original manuals, I guess they said he was a man who thought he was a woman.
I feel like that gif of Nathan Fillion from Firefly when he's like...
No, that's something I was listening to like just recently on Did You Know Gaming thing. They were like bringing up old interviews and stuff in Japanese magazines and stuff, and devs were basically saying that, and I guess it was in some of the manuals too.
If that's true, then how eggs?
Look, this is a retcon, okay? We don't respect the lore totally around here in Nintendo land. And if we got Chromasis joining us saying people like Galaxy, but Sunshine is my favorite. It's my favorite too.
Yeah, so after I get through Sunshine, then hopefully I'll be ready to play Galaxy, because Galaxy 1 and 2 were on Wii, and I've never played those ones before either. So.
And then we got a couple more shout-outs here. Anda says, at least you're not the here's one slightly cringy line or bad plot point pauses. Guys, this writing.
Metroid Prime 4 is a perfect example of that.
Yeah, and even seeing hate for Dispatch, people doing this weird thing where they're blowing smoke up Japanese smoke. Smoke and saying it's only popular because it's a Japanese thing that strips away the anime BS.
I've heard nothing but good things about Dispatch.
Yeah, same here. Mike says, just think of Birdo like Demon King Piccolo. He can shoot eggs out of his mouth. There you go. That's one way to put it.
I did not know Piccolo could do that.
Yes, all the Namekians can self-reproduce.
Ah, okay. The only DBZ I've ever seen is DBZ abridged. It is quite funny.
Are you a Yoshi?
But yeah, so not a fan of Mario 2. I keep trying to get through it, and it's just like pulling teeth. Not a fan.
Nah, I feel you. Okay, I'm gonna go on to my number 2, and then we're gonna start wrapping this up quickly. The game that I replayed this year, that I liked back in 2013, but do not like in current day, was Pokemon X and Y, and I played the X version because I played Y when I was younger. Damn near almost like 15 years ago at this point. It's crazy to think about that perspective. I just think that this game is very redundant in some areas. I like Mega Evolutions, but that game just does not really seem like it knew what it wanted to be. It was the first transition to like full 3D, and they still had like the little chibi art style 3D stuff where everyone kind of looked like they were bowling pins walking around, kind of like penguin-esque bodies. And I think that the game is way too easy, way too hand-holding. As I've said many times on other shows, they give you way too many Pokemon that you don't even need to try. They basically give you a team of 5 without even trying, and then it's like, the 6th one's a wild card, baby. That's what it is. And I don't know. I think the Elite Four in that game has like a cool aesthetic to it, and like there's some interesting like post game stuff to do, but it's just overall like just very lacking. Team Flare does not really strike me as awesome. I like the legendaries, but the legendaries are legendaries. They're supposed to be like the big cool thing. Articunos, Apodous, and Moltres are there, I guess, but you only get one of them. And then like Mewtwo is like just randomly around to put off Megastones. Like X and Y feels like that first game where they like transition over to like a new engine and they have like interesting ideas. It's basically inspired by France. And like you get like there's a lot of good visual elements to this game. Like when you're going around. But then it just starts to run into a lot of redundancies. Like they give you roller skates, but then they give you a bike later on, and you're like, I don't even want to be on my roller skates now. I got a bike, you know. Or some people really like the roller skates and they don't use the bike. Or they kind of like grind. They have like ride Pokemon too. This was like the first time where they introduced like ride Pokemon to get through parts.
Okay.
But it's like it's just a lot of different ideas that they kind of put into a game, and I don't think all of them were executed that well. And like I said, I've been playing through all the Pokemon games this year. You know, I started with Pokemon Yellow, and I got up to Sun and Moon before I kind of want to play other games for a bit. Nothing against Sword and Shield or X and Y. I mean, not X Y. You know, Scarlet and Violet and Ultra Sun and Moon. But I just kind of want to just play other games, and I've been having more fun playing other games right now. Especially, ironically enough, Pokemon ZA, which came out this year, which is based off of the X and Y lore, which I think is doing a much better job, and it's a more contained, like sustained story and everything like that. I even got the DLC, and I think the DLC is pretty fun. But just generally speaking, it's just I was just not impressed.
And X and Y is on
3DS. It was the first 3DS game.
Okay.
So I can't. I don't want to spend way too much time on it because it's just so blah. You know, like that's the problem. Like Sun and Moon at least had a cool story. X and Y kind of has a cool story, where it's like these Pokemon are like the epitome of life and death. But at the end of the day, it doesn't feel as good. Like I think ZA has done a much better job reviving X and Y, in my opinion, than X and Y did to get me interested now as like, an adult. Like there's just better Pokemon games like that came after and before it, like hands down. I would literally put Pokemon X and Y at the bottom of that list, even though it has probably the best mechanic in Pokemon, which was Mega Evolutions. So that's all I really got to say about X and Y.
Okay. All right. Then for my last two that I was not a fan of is I talked about this kind of at length on Achievement Chasers because
Wait, one second.
Oh,
what up, okay. Jay? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Jay? How's it going?
All right, go back, sir.
So I talked about it at length on Achievement Chasers, but there were so many people on my Xbox, the Achievement Hunting 101 Discord, that were just like praising this game, and they're just talking about how good it is, and like if you're a fan of Zelda, you'll like this game. And I played it, and I just very similar to Mario 2. I didn't hate it, but I just really did not like it, and that is Death's Door. Do you know of this game?
Yeah, the one with the little crow people, right?
Yes, you're a crow, and you.
I actually like this game, so that's why I'm surprised you hate it.
Yeah, I was not a fan of this game at all. I liked the concept. I just didn't like the execution. But yeah, you're like a reaper, and you have to reap the souls because crows are reapers of souls, and so you have to reap the souls of people who are who are past the time that they're supposed to live, and obviously they don't want to die, but you have to go and kill them to reap their souls because they're past the date that they're supposed to live. But it's like a isometric. Like kind of like a top-down Zelda game, and I just really did not like it, and I disliked it so much that because I panic played it before it left Game Pass back in January, and I disliked it so much that I didn't even bother 100%ing it before it left. So I will forever be one achievement short on that game because the Achievement Hunting 101 podcast, they've also talked about it a few times, and they said the best way to play it is play through it once and basically get all the achievements except for this one achievement. And I forget what the achievement is called, but the achievement is for beating the entire game using only the umbrella. And I was planning on doing that on my first playthrough, and I already it's broken up into 3 dungeons, and I'd already beaten the first dungeon. I'm like, when the heck do you ever get the umbrella? And you have to know about it beforehand because it's like in the very first room in the game, and it just looks like a background piece. You have to know it's there, otherwise you'll walk right past it. So I was like, I considered starting the game over again to go do it, but I'm like, no, I'll just do a second playthrough with the umbrella. So I beat the game, got all the achievements except for the umbrella achievement. what the umbrella achievement is basically hard mode because the umbrella does 0.5 damage from all the other weapons. So like I said, I was already not a fan of this game, and just adding insult to injury, adding salt in the wound of like now you got to go and do it, and it's even worse than it was before. I was like, nope, I'm good. I'm not going to do it again. So I will forever be with that with missing that one achievement, and I did not enjoy the game. So I left Game Pass, and I'm one achievement short. So I don't know if I've ever intentionally just left a Game Pass game uncompleted before it left Game Pass. I basically always complete them, of the ones that I'm interested in playing or have started. But this one, I was like, nope, I'm not doing it.
No, so. I understand. I like that game a lot too, but I just kind of got like stuck in the whole like circle of like, I don't really want to play this game right now. I don't want to. I was more in a casual mood, but I did enjoy that game. I thought it had a cool idea. I like the art style a lot of that game. Another thing too is I actually bought that game from. I got the collector's edition of that game from a now defunct, limited kind of run game company. I forget the name of what they were called, but Devolver Digital I know bought them out. So I bought. Okay. So I got that as one of the collector's editions from them.
And what platform is that for?
This was Switch. So
that was going to be my guess.
Yeah, so this was the Switch. They also did the Cult of the Lamb, and they also did Trek to Yomi as well.
I was considering playing that one before it left Game Pass, but I didn't get around to it.
Oh, you should play that game, man. It's on sale. Eventually, you should pick it up. It's a really good game. Especially because the studio behind it, Flying Wild Hogs, they're doing the Tomb Raider remake with.
I was just gonna say that name sounds really familiar. I've heard it just recently. It's because the Tomb Raider remake that just got announced.
Yeah, I think I said that on our when we were watching the Game Awards.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, and then Ando says nerfing the player's damage is always my least favorite way of making it more difficult.
Yeah,
you're definitely correct about that. All right, I'll close out mine, and then you close out yours, and then we can finally talk about the good things that we played. Yes.
Sounds good.
All right, so my last game that I actually just started playing recently was Red Dead Revolver. And let me tell you
the original on Xbox?
Yeah, the original, yes. It is on Xbox through backwards compatibility as well. Okay. And I got to say this. This game sucks.
It's very different from the other Red Dead games.
It's dated.
Right?
There you go. That's the best way to say it. It is dated.
Is it even the same genre?
It technically is an arcadey kind of shooter. It is in the genre of a Western. I guess you could say that.
Yeah, that's more like a theme than a genre.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm having this in my head that it's like more like an on-rail shooter than it is an open world
almost
adventure.
It almost is. It's a level by level kind of shooter more than anything else. This game I think was also supposed to be published by Capcom, and then Capcom backed out, and then eventually I think Rockstar took over the IP and stuff. I don't know if Rockstar was the original dev of this game, but I know they were like the publisher with Take-Two and such. It feels like a Rockstar game, and what I mean by that is like you're fighting like midget clowns and like
that sounds more like a Borderlands game.
Well, like, but this was before Borderlands, so you gotta understand, like, old Rockstar games were like, Hitman and stuff, like, not Manhunt and stuff like that too, and Grand Theft Auto, and it was more like crazy and cartoonish back in the day. So it feels like that type of level of crazy and cartoonish, but it feels just so bad to play. I know our buddy, like, other JM, he is the one that likes this game, and I messaged him. I was like, "This game sucks." It's very inconsistent with like the damage. So like everyone's dying from like headshots, but then you got these like boss fights, and the AI in this game is just like all over the place. Like, you know that meme of like the cop from Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs just like fucking trucking it, where he's like just this black cop running.
I know who you're talking about. I'm not sure I know the meme though.
Yeah, well, hold on. Let me see if I can find it real quick. But Sunny with chance of meatballs cup. All right. There you go. Like This is what it is over here. Like bringing this up here, but like this. See how the cop is running?
Okay.
It's just like that's the boss fights. It's like they just fucking keep trucking and going and going and going. These fucking bosses, and like
they're like dead determined. Like they got their sights set on you, and nothing's gonna stop them.
yeah. And another thing too is like they don't take any damage. Like they're just bullet sponges. Like I'm like standing up on the corner, shooting this dude in the head, and it's just like dink, dink, dink. Like the slitherest of slithers are coming off like these guys' health bars. And I beat the first guy because that one was kind of easy, because I found a place to do it. And then the second one we have to fight is this like lady, and she's got a whip, and all these people that are like shooting at you and stuff. Like a bunch of her minions are attacking you. And this was probably like the most unfair boss fight I ever had to deal with, because not only does she take no damage unless you go up and like start beating her like she's like Tina Turner, okay? And like all these minions just keep attacking you, like they're shooting you, you're shooting with fire, they're throwing rocks at you everywhere. And the worst part is that they don't drop any health. Like you're taking like half of your health damage at minimum trying to like do like a quarter to her, and then you have to deal with all this shit flying at you, and like they can't even just like drop like one health pack this entire time. And the game is very glitchy. Like it's just, I don't know, it's just like this is not a good game. Like it's amazing that like Rockstar said, let's take the Red Dead title and make something amazing with it after this giant hellhole of a first game. I gave it the old college try. I died to that lady like 25 times and said, fuck this. I have better ways to like enjoy my time with my life than doing this. There's just no point in wasting my life like this.
It sounds like in Metroid, where it has a bad first game, but it spawned a great franchise.
Yeah, this was just like it was bad. Like there's like a little story there. Like you can play as like this British guy. He's got like just like 2 pistols, and he's just like a really good gunslinger and stuff like that. You play as this guy. His name is Red. That's like the main character, which I think is funny. And then like it's like every stereotypical like southern, not southern, western story that starts. Me and Ma were out on the farm. I'm just a young boy. And Pa made it big, boy. And oh yeah, my mom's a Native American. In case you didn't know this, look at her dressed like a Native American. It's just like stuff like that. And then they both die. And then like just it's weird. It's just not a good game. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, JM. I know you like it, but you're wrong.
I get it.
It's a guilty pleasure game for some people, but for me, I'm just guilty for playing it. And it was not a pleasure by any means of imagination. So that's all the games I did not like playing so far. And you can continue on us off here, and then we can start talking about the good stuff.
All right. So the last game I'm going to talk about that I did not like for a minute here is another one very similar to Metroid, where the first game was not good, but it spawned a fantastic franchise. Also one of my favorite franchises because, like I said, playing through multiple games in a franchise and playing the original versions gets you bonus points. One of the franchises I was going to play through from start to end is the original Mega Man. So I was going to do Mega Man 1 through 11 because I've played them all before. It's just the classic Mega Mans I've only played once each when the Legacy Collection was released in 2018. Or no, the Legacy Collection came out in 2016 or 2017. And then the X Legacy Collection came out in 2018. But I got the Legacy Collection when I got my 1X a few months after it came out. That was the first time I played through the classic Mega Mans, because I'm a big fan of Mega Man X, but I never played through the classics before. But I played them all once each, except for 11. I do own it. I just haven't played it yet. But went back and I've never played the original NES version, although the one on the Legacy Collection is the exact same, but I think it had some modern adjustments, if I remember correctly, because I don't remember having a whole lot of issues getting through the original Mega Man on the Legacy Collection. Playing the original NES version, the game itself plays just like basically all the other classic Mega Man games. The one major issue that makes this game such a pain is there is no save, no password system, nothing. When you turn the game off, every single time you start the game up, you have to start from the beginning, and there is no way around it unless you save states, but I'm playing for retro achievements, hardcore retro achievements, which save states are disabled, so I'm playing it as if I'm playing it on original NES. I can't cheat it. If I was using save states, then I would have been able to do it, but I got up to either the last boss of the game or the second to the last boss of the game, and I was playing it here on my Retroid. So instead of closing the game, I just left the game running and closed the lid. And I was like, all right, that's enough for today. I'll play more tomorrow. Came back the next day, flipped it open. It was right where I left off. Continued playing it because I had beat like the 6 Robot Masters, and I was then at Wily's Castle. And then that's where I shut it down, closed the lid for the night. Came back the next day, flipped it open, continued right where I left off, and I got through. I think the first. Because I think Wily's Castle, I don't remember how many stages Wily's Castle has in the first Mega Man, but it's always different in basically every game. But I got to I got to like the second to last level, and I was like, all right, I've got stuff to do. I'll come back to it later. Close the lid. I literally came back to it 10 minutes later, opened the lid, and the game had closed, and I was back to the beginning of the game. I'm like, well, screw this. I'm not doing that again. So I was like, all right, well, I will play a different version of Mega Man 1. So I was like, oh, the original Game Boy version of Mega Man has save states in it. So I'll do that one. That one is like 10 times harder than the NES version. I couldn't even beat one level. So I was like, well, screw that. I then pivoted to the most recent version of Mega Man 1 that you introduced me to, which I will talk about later on this stream. Because that was a very good one. But the original NES version of Mega Man, the gameplay is fine. It's just like the original, like all the other Mega Mans on NES. But the fact that there's no save states, no passwords, absolutely nothing. You have to start the game over from scratch every single time was too much to deal with. So I got really close, but I do not have it beaten. I will beat it eventually, but I don't know when I'll ever work up the fortitude to give it another shot. If it just had save states or a password system like the original Metroid did, that's another thing that Metroid is. There's no save states, but it does at least give you a password so you can resume with the items that you had. The passwords of the original Metroid are very convoluted, but at least there is a password system. This one doesn't have anything, so there's literally no way to pick up from where you left off. If it just had that, it would be a drastically better game. But because there was no way to resume where I left off, I do not like the original version of Mega Man. If it just had save states, then this game would not be on my dislike list at all. But because of that one sole fact, I had to put on my list of dislike games I played this year.
Yeah, I get you. And Ando says over here, screw Yellow Devil, just a very stupid hard fight if you don't cheat, with which some releases remove the ability to cheat the fight.
Yellow Devil is legitimately one of the worst bosses ever designed in any game of all time. I don't believe there's any way to beat it legitimately unless you are a Mega Man god. And so, yes, I did cheese that fight because no mortal can beat that legitimately.
And then Chromasis says, I did not like how they brought back Yellow Devil in X5. That was annoying.
At least he wasn't quite as bad as he was in original NES Mega Man. But yeah, I'm not a fan of Yellow Devil. Yeah. So, and then 2 very quick dishonorable mentions. Dark Souls Remastered, did not enjoy that one, but I spent 99% of my time playing that game in 2023. But I did do one quick playthrough to mop up the achievements I missed on my first playthrough. So I did do a playthrough of it in 2024. Mm-hmm. I played it mostly in 2024, but I did one playthrough in like the first week or two of January of this year, and I'm not a fan of that game. So I that was also my disliked games. And then the Bloodstained Ritual of the Night DLC. I had already mastered the base game, but they released a DLC for it last year, and then I played the DLC this year. That is one of the worst DLCs I've ever played in my life. That DLC is god awful, an abomination called Dominique's Curse. That DLC can go burn in hell forever. I hate it with I hate with a passion that DLC. I don't know if there's any DLC I hate more in all of gaming than that DLC.
All right. Well, now that we got all the hate out of the way, Neo, how about you start us off with the first game that you've liked, and I'll bring up the gameplay footage right now.
All right. So I changed the order that I was going to talk about these last minute because I was like, oh, I have Mega Man 1 at the end of my my list of dislikes. So it would make sense to talk about this one as my first one that I did like. So this is the version of Mega Man I did end up playing, and I love this. So you turned me on to this one. Mega Man Powered Up is a PSP remake of the original Mega Man 1. It does have the full original NES version intact with no save states, nothing. I was going to play that version if it just had save states, but it does not have any way to save your game. It's legitimately the exact same as the NES cartridge. So I was like, well, I'm not doing that, but it's got the new gameplay style. And as you can see here, it looks a lot better than the original NES Mega Man. And this is probably my second most played game this year. Probably behind Tony Hawk 3 and 4. Those are the two games that I've spent the most time in this year because I've been playing them close to every day for a few minutes here and there. Basically since I started playing them. So Tony Hawk came out in like June, and then I started playing this in let's see here, when I got my first achievement in this was August. So I started playing this in August. I've been playing it a ton because this game is loaded with content. So obviously you play as Mega Man at first, and I was unlocking the different Robot Masters. So the original Mega Man had 6 Robot Masters. Every Mega Man, traditional Mega Man after that has 8, but the original one on NES only had 6. But for this release, they added 2 additional ones that I believe were originally worked on back in the day, but they were cut. So that's why it only came out with 6, and then they re-added them into this one for the first time. And so the 2 that got added are Oil Man and Time Man. They were not in the original NES version, but it rounded it out with 8 Robot Masters. And as I was going through the game, I was unlocking them as playable characters. And then I got to the because if you're not familiar with the Mega Man formula, the most traditional Mega Man games, you have, like a map, and you can pick which level you want to go to, which was kind of a revolutionary thing for a platformer back in the NES, because usually, you're on level 1-1 and you go from left to right, and then you beat that one and you go to level 1-2, and then, once you beat 1, 4, 5, or 6 or whatever, you move on to the world 2-1 or whatever. This one was non-linear, and you could pick whatever order you wanted to do it in. So one of the cool things about the Mega Man games is that whatever boss you beat, you absorb their power, and then their power is strong against one of the other Robot Masters. So if you want the easiest way of getting through the game, you got to figure out what the next, what boss is weak to the weapon you just got. And so it's kind of like a rock, paper, scissors thing where each boss is strong to one weapon, and then each boss is weak to one weapon. But anyway, so I was going through the game and I was unlocking all these Robot Masters as playable characters except for one. I was like, why do I have all of them except for one? And so I went and looked it up. And what you have to do to unlock each of the 8 Robot Masters as playable characters is you just have to beat them without using a special weapon. You only use the Mega Buster. And so I went back and I beat that boss using just the Mega Buster, and then I unlocked him. And then you can, then you unlock them. It's not like they'll get locked or anything. You'll have them for the rest of however long you play it. Because another thing that this game has is the Mega Man games. I'm trying to think of any examples. I can't think of any. Basically, all the Mega Man games, they're kind of like Dark Souls, because that's one thing that people like hate on. It's like, hey, why isn't there a difficulty setting in Dark Souls? Mega Man been doing this since 1986. There's no difficulty setting. You can't make it easier or normal or hard difficulty. It's just the difficulty is the difficulty. This one, however, has difficulties, and they have an easy, a normal, and a hard.
Yeah.
So this is I believe this is the first Mega Man game that actually had, or at least a traditional one, because there are so many different spin-offs. But like when I say traditional, I mean, the side-scrolling platformer Mega Man. So like Legends would not be included, or Mega Man Battle Network would not be incled,
Right?
Because that's like an RPG. But the Mega Man, Mega Man X, Mega Man Zero, those are all like the traditional side-scrolling platformer.
Right.
Mega Mans, and they don't have any difficulty options. It's just, get good, scrub. But it has an easy, normal, and hard. So you can go through each of these on easy and beat each boss with the Mega Buster and then unlock it, and then play it on the harder difficulty, and then use their weakness against them to make their fights on their higher difficulties more easier.
Can we also like point out how like racist looking Oil Man is here?
So yeah, this is Oil Man. This is one of the ones that they added that was not in the original NES version of Mega Man. But yeah, so you unlock each of the 8 Robot Masters as playable characters, and there's also a couple of additional characters that they released as DLC. So all in all, I believe there are 12 or 13 playable characters. And another thing about the game is there are, like I said, I'm playing for retro achievements, and the difficulties, you don't have to unlock them. They're all unlocked from the beginning. So it's not like you have to beat it on easy to unlock normal and then beat it on normal to unlock hard. Yeah. And as soon as you pick a level, because obviously at first you only have the 8 Robot Masters, and then once you beat them, you unlock the first Wily Castle level. Then you unlock Wily Castle 2, and then 3, and then 4. If you wanted to, you could then go and play Wily's Castle 4 on hard, because you do have to unlock the Wily Castle levels, but the other 8 levels you have access to at all times. So you could go straight in and play it on hard difficulty if you wanted to. Mm-hmm. The thing is that the difficulties do not stack. So I'm playing for an achievement, and every single level has an achievement for beating on easy, an achievement for beating on normal, and an achievement for beating on hard. And like I said, there are like 13 characters. So I'm going through this and playing it with each character, trying to get through it on each difficulty. So there's like 460 achievements or something for each character for each difficulty. So there's a lot to do in this game. I'm having a lot of fun even though it's going through it, essentially the same thing every time. But one of the other cool things is that each of the Robot Masters, you don't have Mega Man's Mega Buster. You have that Robot Master's ability. So Fireman is probably one of the easier ones to play it with, because he has his shot just shoots straight forward, just like Mega Man's Mega Buster. The thing is, though, he's Fireman, so on the water levels you lose your fire shot, and the only way you can fight, there's one boss at the end of the game we have to fight underwater, and you can't use your fire shot. Whenever you fire, there's a little fireball that circles around you, though. That's the only way you can damage the boss of this level. I talked to Dude about this on Achievement Chasers. Like, I don't know how it's possible I could barely beat it on easy difficulty. I don't know how you could do it on normal. He showed me a video of someone doing it on normal. I'm like, he made it look so easy, but what he pulled off was like, because he did it on hard with no damage. I'm like, that is God tier. No mere mortal is going to be able to do that. But like some of the levels have certain things that only that certain specific Robot Masters can access, because like I said, you're playing as them, so you have their type of attack and you have their ability. Like when you go through Iceman's stage as Fireman, there are some ice blocks that you can melt by standing on them, and Fireman's the only character that has that ability. So you get access to like alternate paths when you go through some of the levels as some of the other characters that none of the other characters have access to. So despite a lot of it being the same thing over and over again, some of the levels can play out a little bit differently depending on which character you're playing it as. But I'm still having a lot of fun. My goal is to at least beat easy and normal with every character, and then beat hard with as many characters as I can, because some of them it's very, very, very difficult. So far, the only character I've beaten all, because it has a counter on each character when you're looking at the character select. It shows how many stages you've beaten, and there are 39 because there's 13 stages and each one has 3 difficulties. So or is it 39? No, that's not right. 69? I forget, but it gives you a little counter. And the only one where I've beaten every single level on every single difficulty so far is Proto Man. He's easily the best character in the game, which is why I've beaten everything with him. For Mega Man, the only level I haven't beaten is Wily on hard, and then I'll have everything done with Mega Man. But the Wily fight with Mega Man on hard difficulty is a bit cheat, because there's one attack you literally cannot dodge no matter what you do. The only way to get around this attack is he cycles through different colors, because he'll use all of the Robot Master's abilities, but not all at once. So you have to see what color he is, and then you have to switch to whatever, like that color corresponds with one of the Robot Masters. And so then you have to quickly then switch to whatever Robot Master is the weakness of the color that he's currently, basically pretending to be. And I have no idea which color coordinates to, which strength and which weakness. So, because you have to switch that really quickly and then hit him with that before he attacks you. And if you hit him with the weakness, it'll stagger him out of the attack. That's literally the only way to not get hit by this attack. Sometimes he'll do that attack 3 times in a row, and basically it'll instantly kill you, because like I said, there's no way to dodge it. And unlike the Mega Man X games, where you can increase your character's abilities by getting like power-ups and like expanding your health bar, the original Mega Man, the health bar you have at the very beginning of the game is the exact same length as you have at the end of the game. You don't ever increase your health or anything. So the final boss fight with Wily is a bit cheap. But that's the only thing I haven't beaten on hard yet. But I've just been going through and playing through it with a bunch of different, trying to get through it on easy with each of the different characters. And I actually created a separate spreadsheet specifically for tracking which levels I've beaten with which characters. I mean, it shows you on there when you have a level selected, or not selected, but highlighted on the map. It shows you which difficulties you've beat, depending on which character that you have selected at the moment. But I like my spreadsheet. So if I can create a spreadsheet for something, I will. So I have a spreadsheet for which levels I've beaten with which characters. And I am currently, let's see here. Overall, I am currently at 38%. So like I've beaten it on easy with Iceman, and with Fireman, and easy with Electman and Time Man. And I've gotten a good chunk of the way through the game as Cutman. But I still have, even though it's probably my second most played game this year, and I've really been enjoying it, I still have a long way to go, because like I said, there is a lot of content in this game. And this is definitely, hands down, without a doubt, the definitive best way to play the original Mega Man. No question. It is great. And I really enjoy this game. And it's kind of hard, after I'm done with this. I have done Mega Man 2 already this year, the NES version, but I haven't gotten past that. I haven't even started Mega Man 3. But once I kind of burn out on this one, I'll continue on with Mega Man. So I'll do Mega Man 3. But going from this back down to an original NES version is going to be kind of a hard pill to swallow, just because of how good this rendition of Mega Man 1 is. So, yeah, this has been fantastic. The exact opposite end of the spectrum from Mega Man, the original NES version of Mega Man 1, to go into the best version. I had heard of this game, but I literally knew nothing about it other than it was a Mega Man game that existed until you pointed it out to me on Party Chat earlier this year, and I went and looked into it, and I'm like, oh, this looks really good. So it's because of you put this on my radar that I ended up getting around to playing it this year. So thank you for that.
Oh, no problem. And Chrome says, yeah, the art style for this game is adorable.
Yes, the chibi art style is great.
And then minus the obvious design for Robot Master.
Oh, probably for Oil Man.
Yeah. So yeah, there we go. That will do it for your final thoughts. Is that all you have to say about the Mega Man Powered Up?
So let's see here. So yeah, it is a PSP game, and it launched in March of 2006. So it's almost a 20-year-old game.
Oh wow.
But yeah, it is. If you're a Mega Man fan at all, I highly recommend it. It is great.
All right, cool beans. Cool beans. All right. Let's go with then my first game on the list here, shall we? And I think I'll try to do these in order that I sent them as well. No particular order in terms of ranking, just what we're doing here. And the first game I'd like to shout out is probably the first game I got a platinum trophy in quite some time as well. And that is the good old Assassin's Creed Origins.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and this is I played this on PlayStation 4 back in the day, but I know that they recently got updates for the Series X, and they also got PS5 updates as well. So I decided to sit back and just kind of replay these games. Assassin's Creed Origins is, I think, my favorite of the Assassin's Creed games, and I really had like nothing but a good time going back and replaying this game from start to finish. I got all the trophies for it, including on the DLC and the Platinum Trophy, and I the big part about this game for me that I really did enjoy was the historical settings. Um, I like this version of Egypt that we're currently playing in, because this isn't like prime, Ramses the Great Egypt fighting the sea peoples and building the pyramids and everything else like that. This is basically Egypt being a conquered state, period. So this is, in the history terms, Ptolemaic Egypt. And for people who don't know what that means, Alexander the Great had a general called Ptolemy. And after Alexander the Great died, his empire was split up between his generals. And the general that took over the Egyptian region was Ptolemy. So this game focuses on, that's Ptolemy right there, that's one of his descendants. The civil war between Caesar and Pompey the Great, and the control of Egypt from, the storyline of Cleopatra and her brother and everything else like that. You were going to say something?
Oh, I was going to say, what we're looking at here is, where is this from? Because I've played a little bit of the game. Is this from the opening of the game?
Yes.
Because he looks a lot younger than he does at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, it's the opening of the game.
Okay.
So the whole point about I like games that incorporate history and stuff into them, and they do it pretty well. Like games like Plague's Tale do a good job with that. The Assassin's Creed games, I'd say, generally do a good job of that. But I like Bayek as a character.
I was going to say, he's your favorite protagonist from the Assassin's Creed franchise, right?
Yeah, I think Bayek is a man driven on a mission. Bayek is a Magi, so he's like a guardian of the Pharaoh, but he's also hunting down this giant cult in this game too. And as you can see right here, this is one of the first guys that he encounters, and he's just gonna brutally kill this guy in one of the coolest ways I've seen someone do.
Oh
yeah, it's just he just takes he blocks the knife with the mask, and then he just kills him with the knife they threw at him. But Bayek, when you listen to this game, is very interesting. So Bayek is Egyptian, shocker, right? But his wife is Greek, and their son was a mix between both of them. And they talk about these social settings and stuff in this game, where you're seeing the interaction of how the Greeks and the Egyptians and the Romans all interact and deal with each other. And you get this very nice view of this world that when you first hear about it, you're oh, it takes place in Egypt. But then when the more you play it, the more you start to realize, oh, this world is a lot deeper and more built out than it is. Bayek has a friend who I forget his name, but he starts to be a chariot racer, and then he abandons his Egyptian name and he takes a Greek name, and they actually get into a fight about that, where it's like, how could you betray your people, just to sell out? And then he's like, oh, the Egyptian gods did nothing for me. It's the Greek gods that help me out now. And it's just very interesting, like, attention to detail they put in here. They obviously do a lot of stuff with like actual historical events, with Caesar taking over Egypt, and Pompey the Great being killed by Cleopatra's brother and stuff like that too. I love it. Like the attention to the historical detail in this game is really well done. Especially because I think a lot of people don't really know too much about this time period, versus like they understand a little bit of it because Anthony and Cleopatra and all that stuff is kind of like a well-known story by everyone, but I don't think a lot of people realize like all the implications that went into that historical event before they even got to this point. And they did a good job. And while we're talking about like the historical period and stuff like that, I did enjoy the hell out of the open world in this one too. There's something just fun about getting some of these trophies in this game, or achievements, where you're riding around on a camel in the middle of the desert and Bayek starts hallucinating, it's like,
Okay.
it's like you can like see Moses there, like he's in the desert, and you see Moses pop out of the desert. You see the burning bush,
Really?
like frogs and shit starts falling from the sky while you're riding around on your camel.
That's
And
cool.
like the attention to detail is great. You can climb all the pyramids. You can go under the Sphinx, go to the hidden room. Like you have all this like crazy stuff that just like happens in this game, where it's just like they do a good job world building. I also like how you can just, nothing feels out of place. That's the best way to say it. Like you walk around and like you see everyday life of Egypt going on. So you got like mummification areas. They tell you how to get like the proper stuff in the process to make mummies. So like you have to go get like this, I forget what it's called. It's a special type of like sand or rock, and they use that for mummifications. You listen to the priest talk about how alligators are like very sacred to them, and you have to do certain missions like that. There's one part where Egyptians believed that bull was a god incarnate, and you got to stop like people from poisoning the bull and find out why they're doing it and stuff like that too. I'm saying like a lot because I'm trying to find like a proper filler word. It's just really cool, the historical detail that they put into these games, and there is a whole DLC that
I was going to mention that.
that you have to do to get other trophies. That is a whole historical DLC. So you
The Discovery Tour.
the Discovery Tour, and it's great.
I've
It
done
gives,
that.
it gives you a whole breakdown of Alexandria, life in Egypt, what they ate, how they made pots, how they made clothing, how they did a bunch of stuff like that too. And it's really well detailed. It's a fun history lesson. I like history, so I learned a few things about that game. But the DLC too was also really well done. The Shadows one, I can't remember. The Hidden in the Shadows DLC is the first one.
Curse of Pharaohs, and then the Hidden Ones is
The
the
Hidden
second
Ones,
one.
that's it. The Hidden Ones is the one. No, Hidden Ones is the first one. Curse of Pharaohs is
Oh yeah. They list them from most recent to oldest, so I thought it was oldest to most recent. Yeah, Hidden Ones, and then Curse the Pharaohs, and then the Discovery Tour is most recent. That was actually a title update.
Yeah, the Hidden Ones I thought was just all right. It's not bad DLC, but it's very very short, and it establishes more so like the order and how it became the way it was, like killing people, not necessarily just out of you know contracts, but out of necessity. Because Bayek has to actually assassinate somebody who's technically the good guy in that DLC.
Okay.
And I thought the writing was just okay, but the Pharaohs one, the Curse of the Pharaohs, that one is really cool because this is where it starts to get into the whole like afterworld kind of deals. So you have to go and actually kill old pharaohs in the afterlife, and it takes you to
Oh,
different parts of the afterlife, the Egyptian afterlife, like the Field of Reeds, and Set, and all that other area, like other areas of like Egyptian afterlife. So you fight, all these creatures that are in the Egyptian underworld as part of that, you know, storyline in order to fight the pharaoh's curse. And then like random pharaohs spawn, and they're very powerful, and they all have their own special attacks. I think it's like Ramses, Tutankhamun, Nefertiti, and there was one more, I think. I can't remember off the top of my head. But just the overall like world scale of things you're fighting in this game is pretty cool. Like there's elephants, like you have to fight elephants in big arena battles. Just crazy, like they just charge you down. They do so much damage, and one of the trophies you have to get is actually kill 2 elephants at once. But that's not as hard because I think they just limit the health of these monsters because you're fighting 2 of them. They don't want you to get overwhelmed if it was just fighting one and it's like fully cranked up difficulty. So they make them a little bit easier to kill, because I fought like single elephants. No, like they were tough. They were messing my day up. And then I fought these 2 at the same time, and it was like, oh, you could tell they made it a little easier just so you didn't get too frustrated, because they went down relatively quick, comparatively speaking.
okay.
And yeah, there's a lot of famous places too. You go to Siwa, Alexandria, all these fun places. They cover a lot of the world of Egypt, and I think they do a really damn good job in letting you know that this isn't Egypt in its prime everywhere you go. And it does have that lived in feel of you're just existing in an ancient world more than anything else. And I really did enjoy that feature a lot too. The combat in this game I thought was really well done. I do like the counter system. I did think the bow and arrow system was pretty good in this game too. I liked it a lot more than Odyssey. I played Odyssey right after this, and I was like, I just want to go back to this gameplay style. And I believe they do that with Valhalla. They went back to this gameplay style in Valhalla more than they went with Odyssey going forward.
And when you say that, like, how do you mean? Because I think of all 3 of them as being, being basically the same game in different settings. Whereas like Mirage, that's more like the older Assassin's Creeds. So when you say that Valhalla is more like this one than Odyssey, what exactly do you mean by that?
This is more like an action RPG. So the combat is more, I would say, basic versus like Odyssey. It's more, I guess, detail is the best way to do it. Like more buttons do things in Odyssey versus this one is more like block, attack, change weapon, aim, shoot, more like type of deal.
Okay.
Like you're not doing crazy like over the top moves like you are in Odyssey. And like you basically only have like an overpowered move that you have to fill up a meter for, and it's more along the lines of block, attack, slash, and it's more straightforward gameplay. Whereas Odyssey is more RPG based gameplay too, I would say. Like you can't cheese it as much as you can in this game too.
Okay.
Yeah. But I highly recommend this one out of all the new quote unquote Assassin's Creed franchises. I want to play Valhalla, which I found out recently Valhalla is the most played game on PlayStation 5, which I thought was weird, thinking about that. But I think I might skip Odyssey and actually start playing Valhalla soon, because I want to play that because the DLC in that one looked pretty cool. Especially one of them's like the Siege of Paris, which is, I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. But yeah, no. Highly recommend this game. 10 out of 10 storytelling. 7 out of 10 gameplay. Open world is fun. The last thing I'll say, they have a crossover of Final Fantasy 15, which I thought was funny.
Final Fantasy and Assassin's Creed.
Yes, so there's like a mission you do where you have to climb an obelisk and time out the time frame just right, and it unlocks a special cutscene, which is from Final Fantasy 15, and they give you a special Final Fantasy sword and shield, and then they give you a chocobo camel.
Oh, that's right. I did hear about that.
Yeah, so I was like, "Oh, this is cool." So I'm riding around ancient Egypt with a chocobo camel, just messing people's days up. So, a lot better than the Attack on Titan crossover DLC they got for Shadows. So that's for sure.
Yeah. So that made me curious because I don't know about like Xbox in its entirety, but at least according to True Achievements, out of all the True Achievements players, the most played Assassin's Creed is Assassin's Creed 2.
I mean that makes sense. I was specifically talking for PS5.
Yeah. I would like to look that up. I just don't know how. This is the closest thing I could get most quickest. So, but yeah, the Discovery Tour. I've done that DLC, and that was fascinating. Learning about all this historical stuff in Egypt. There's still like so much more in it that I didn't even touch because it's got like 5 different categories. And there's like 50 things in each category. You can go through different areas and see like day-to-day life. Back then, which is really cool. And a lot of them weren't required for the achievement. So there's still tons more in it that I haven't done. But what I did have to do for the achievement was like, you could just like skip through all the dialogue and get through it really quick. But I went through it and listened to everything and looked at the pictures it showed. And it was really interesting. It was kind of cool getting a history lesson from a video game. It's like, they especially, building out what the world probably looked like at the time. It's like a perfect setting for it. So they did the same thing with Odyssey. I believe there's a Discovery Tour for Odyssey. Although I don't think there's any achievements for it. Valhalla, though, it's not in the game. It's actually a whole separate standalone game. And I actually just played that this week. So that was also I didn't like it. Well, that one actually had more of a storyline where you're kind of like living through the life of this character. Whereas the one in this one is just like, it's just like these little points of interest, and then the narrator tells you about stuff. The one for Valhalla is called Discovery Tour Viking something, and you actually play as a character. It jumps around to a couple different characters, and then at the end, their kind of timelines all intersect. But you're living out the lives of these characters and kind of learning about their situations and stuff, rather than going from point to point and have the narrator just telling you about stuff. So they took a little bit more of a different route to kind of show you the stuff. But either way, both of them were really fascinating.
Yes. So that was Assassin's Creed Origins. Came out October 27th, 2017. So it is almost 10 years old. That's fucking crazy to think about. Available on Xbox One, Series console updates, PlayStation 4 with PlayStation 5 updates, and PC as well. Go play it on 60 FPS. Makes the game a lot more enjoyable.
This is the next Assassin's Creed that's up on my list because I don't remember what year it was, but I want to say it was like 2022. But I basically played through all of the Assassin's Creed games, and I got up through finishing Syndicate. So Origins is the next one up on my list. It's just because after that, they just get like Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla just get like exponentially larger. So I haven't continued with them, but Origins is the next one up that I will be playing when I get back to playing the Assassin's Creed games. So.
Okay. Neo, we're going to go over to what was your next game you'd like to talk about?
So my next game is a ROM hack of a game that a lot of people like. Like I said, I've talked about Metroid quite a few times already today, but Metroid is, my second favorite franchise of all time. A lot of people, Super Metroid is their favorite Metroid. Some people, it's their favorite game of all time. I believe, like Brian, I know it's Super Metroid is his favorite Metroid. I know Super Metroid's in his top favorite games of all time, if not his number one game. But I have some issues with the original Super Metroid on Super Nintendo. It is a fantastic game, but there are some things that would make it be much better, some quality of life improvements if you gave it a facelift, so to speak. And it doesn't necessarily mean better graphics, although that wouldn't hurt. But it does not, by any means, look like a bad game. It still looks good, but I have a few issues with the original Super Metroid. That's why it's actually on the lower end of. I actually went through just recently and ranked all of the Metroid games, and I think Super Metroid is actually in the bottom half of Metroid games. That doesn't really say a whole lot because, with the exception of original Metroid and Metroid Other M, they're all good games. But it is in the lower tier in my ranking of. In the bottom half of the tier, my tier ranking of all the Metroid games. All that to say is I discovered this ROM hack called Super Metroid GBA Edition. And what they did is they went and rebuilt Super Metroid, but it's in the Metroid Zero Mission engine. Because my number one biggest issue with Super Metroid is the controls. And the main thing is how all of your abilities are all tied to one button, which is really annoying. Having to cycle through between missiles, super missiles, power bombs, grapple beam, and X-ray visor anytime you like, and you can't change the order of them. You just got to keep pushing the same button to get to the one that you want. So if you're like in the middle of a fight and you need to switch, it can get really hectic if you're trying to switch from like missiles to super missiles or super missiles back to regular missiles because you may push the button too many times because a lot of stuff is going on. So the way that they fixed that in the Game Boy Advance games, which is Zero Mission and Fusion, because they both the controls are basically identical for both of those games, and they're both excellent games. But someone went and rebuilt Super Metroid in Zero Missions, so it actually has Zero Missions controls, which, despite having less buttons, is far superior to the original Super Metroid's controls. And that is, you don't cycle through your abilities to switch between them. So, like, in order to shoot missiles, you just hold the right shoulder button and then use your shoot button. And while you're holding the right button, the shoulder button, instead of shooting your regular beam shots, you'll shoot missiles. Or if you're in morph ball mode, normally you hit your shoot button and you drop bombs, but if you hold the right shoulder button and you hit drop a bomb, it'll drop a power bomb, assuming you obviously have those abilities already. So that alone makes the game play so much better, in my opinion. So this might be blasphemous to some people, but I think this version is better than the original Super Metroid version on Super Nintendo. And I just replayed it again this year, and I actually haven't played Super Metroid that many times. I think when I was playing through it earlier this year for Metroidvania Monday, I think it was only the third time I had played it, so I don't know it like the back of my hand. Shout out to Nerdporial again, because he came into the stream when I was playing Super Metroid and I was stuck, and it's because I didn't realize one of your buttons is just a sprint button. It's like, why do we need a sprint button? Why don't we just sprint all the time so we can use that button for something else? I didn't realize that, and so because it was a room where you have to run really fast and I couldn't run fast enough, I just thought it's because I didn't have the speed booster yet. But no, you can get across this platform as long as you just hold the sprint button. He came in to the chat at that time. It was great timing. He's like, hey, you can hold this button to sprint. I'm like, oh, I feel like an idiot. Since this is built on the Game Boy Advance version with only 2 buttons, they don't have that. You just sprint all the time, which is the way I think that Super Metroid should have been from the beginning. So another improvement from the original. It does have some slight downsides because they are working within the confines of what was in Metroid Zero Mission. Most of the bosses from Super Metroid were in Zero Mission, so they were just able to reuse them. There are a couple bosses that were not, so instead of that boss, they swapped it out with a different boss that was in Zero Mission. So there's a couple of bosses that aren't in there. I don't think that's much of an issue, but some people, like the Phantoon, is not in it. It's replaced by, I believe Phantoon was replaced by the Chozo Ghost boss, which is I think the second to last boss in Zero Mission, before you acquire all of your abilities after the sneaking part. So that's one of the things that I didn't find that as an issue because they're working with what they got. But another thing that is a huge improvement, in my opinion, is one of my issues with Super Metroid is the grapple beam is so freaking janky and terrible, and I hate it because there's no grapple beam in Metroid Zero Mission. They just replaced it with something that is in Zero Mission already, and that is these ceiling conveyors where you just grab it and it just zips you across to the other side, and you just grab it and it zips you across back. Way better than the janky grapple beam. So that's another thing where they worked within the confines of what they had, and it ends up being better than what was in Super Metroid. If I had to, my one thing that I was a bit disappointed by, there's two things that I have an issue with on this ROM hack. So the number one biggest issue I have with it when it comes to swapping out the bosses is because there was a Mother Brain in Zero Mission, so they just used Mother Brain again. But in the original Super Metroid, after you beat the first phase of Mother Brain, essentially, which is the exact same as what Mother Brain was in the original NES, where it's just this brain in a jar with an eyeball that shoots lasers at you. Which that's all it was in NES Metroid. You beat that, and then it's the end of the game. You just got to escape. In Super Metroid, it's the same thing where you fight Mother Brain in the jar. You have to break the jar open and then do enough damage to the brain inside the jar. However, unlike the original Metroid, after you crack the jar open and beat the Mother Brain, it falls down to the ground, and you're supposed to think you've won. But then all of a sudden, it comes out of the ground with the whole body, and it's this giant walking monster. They didn't have any assets for that in Metroid Zero Mission. So in this ROM hack, as soon as the brain falls to the ground, the Mother Brain falls to the ground, just like the original NES, that's the end of the fight, and then it's the escape sequence. So that's my one criticism with this ROM hack, is that there's no second phase to Mother Brain, but everything else that they did, they worked within the confines of what they had to work with, and I think was excellent. And I like what they did. That's my biggest issue. But they were just limited. They could only work with what was already in the game, so I can't fault them for that. But that is the one thing, my one criticism of this hack. My other main criticism of the hack, and is something that they could have fixed and they decided not to, is in the Super Metroid. After you go into the final area of the game, which is called Turian, there's one save station down there that you save at right before you go and fight the boss of the game. However, if you save in that save station, you are now locked in Turian, and you can no longer go back and explore the rest of the world and mop up any items that you may have missed. You're just locked in there, and the only thing you can do is go and fight the boss of the game. And if you can't beat the boss of the game because you don't have enough upgrades, and you can't, not good enough to beat it, you got to start the whole game over again because there's no way to get out. The door locks behind you for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Why that was in the original Super Metroid, I have no idea. It baffles me because this whole game is about exploration, but all of a sudden, for no reason whatsoever, this door locks and there's no way to open it. I figured for sure that they would fix that in this ROM hack, where that door no longer locks behind you and you can leave again. But no, unfortunately, they did not fix that, and that door still locks. So if you save once you get down into Turian, you're stuck there and you can't get out. So I was planning on getting 100% item collection on my first playthrough, but because of that, I was not able to. So I had to. I was going to play through it again anyways because it has a hard difficulty, and there's achievements for beating it on hard as well. So I did do a second playthrough on hard, and that's when I went and got 100% items. Going into it knowing that door still locks, I went and got 100% before I went down there. But that is my other criticism that they could have fixed and did not, is that door should not lock behind you, and they could have fixed that, but they didn't. But all in all, I think this is a far superior version and way to play Super Metroid is the Super Metroid GBA edition. It is a ROM hack for Metroid Zero Mission, and it basically, with the exception of that locking door in Turian, it addresses all of my gripes with the original Super Nintendo version of Super Metroid, which so many people like, it's a perfect game. No, it's not. It's a good game, but not by a long shot is it a perfect game. And this addresses all of my issues with it, and in my opinion, this is I can't say the definitive way to play Super Metroid, but in my opinion, it is a far better way to play Super Metroid than the original Super Nintendo version. I did since find out there are a couple other. I mean, Super Metroid has tons of ROM hacks, but I did find out there are a couple more like Super Metroid versions rebuilt in Zero Mission and possibly Fusion. I'm not sure about that, but so like I said, this is Super Metroid GBA edition. I've also found out that there is another ROM hack called Super Metroid Redux, and then there's also a ROM hack called Super Metroid Revamped. And I want to give both of those a shot at some point. Unfortunately, neither of those have retro achievements yet, like this one does. That's why I played this version, because it had retro achievements. But I do plan to play those two versions, because I've read on forums that those versions are even better than this version. How? I'm not sure. But I do want to give those two versions a shot at some point as well, to see how those compare to this version. And if they're even better, then one of those might be, in my opinion, the definitive way to play Super Metroid. But I can't say that until I play those ones. But in what I have played, I would highly recommend this version over the original one, because it addresses all of my gripes with the original version, and it was fantastic, and I loved this version of Super Metroid. So but yeah, if anybody is interested in ROM hacks, I could definitely. I haven't played a whole lot of them yet, but because of retro achievements, there are a lot of ROM hacks that have retro achievement sets. I've been patching a crap load of my old Super Nintendo games and Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Color games and stuff with different patches. So I've got like hundreds of ROM hacks ready to go. So far I've only played like 6 or 7 of them, but I have a huge backlog of ROM hacks to play, in addition to all the retail versions of these games that I have to play as well. So if you're interested in ROM hacks, let me know. I'd be happy to help get you started if you are curious on how to get ROM hacks working.
Yeah, Mike says here, well, of course, every game, even games are not perfect. They are made by normal people. As long as you enjoy it and like it or not, it's completely normal.
Yeah. So I bet Brian would give me a lot of hate for the blasphemy that I spewed about Super Metroid, but I doubt he's played this one. So I'd be curious if he played it, what his thoughts would be on it. But
well,
I loved it.
We could have heard his thoughts tonight, but he's sick. So, all right. Any more details you'd like to share about this before we move on, or?
Obviously, like I said, it's a ROM hack of Metroid Zero Mission, which was a Game Boy Advance game. So there is a kind of the reverse, where they rebuilt Zero Mission in the Super Metroid. So this is actually a ROM hack for a GBA game. There's basically the opposite that exists, where they rebuilt Metroid Zero Mission within Super Metroid framework. So I'm going to give that a shot at some point as well and see how that works. But yeah, so this is a Game Boy Advance game, essentially, just to look like Super Metroid. So yeah.
All right, cool. All righty. So we're going to carry on now with my next game, and that is a game that I absolutely enjoyed as a fun little treat, made by a studio I think is one of my favorite out there, and that is good old Costume Quest. Played that earlier this year. It's a very short game. Honestly, you could beat it within 4 hours if you really know what you're doing and try. And I love the theme of this game. It's a turn-based RPG that takes place on Halloween night, and it's like you play as like one of the two twins, and your whole point of the game is you want to go out there and get candy, and you stumble onto this conspiracy about goblins stealing candy to open a portal to another world, and you have to rescue your twin as part of this mission. It's kind of wholesome. But the best way I could describe it is that the story reminds me a lot of those old cartoon Halloween specials I used to watch growing up. Like a Rugrats episode or something like that, where it's got like the spooky vibes and stuff like that. But I really did enjoy about this game was just like the turn-based RPG in this game is done so well. And what I mean by that is you get like your basic class of characters, but these kids are dressed up in their little costumes, and each costume lets them transform into what they are basically playing, like costuming as. So there's a Statue of Liberty costume, there's a giant robot costume, there's a Dracula costume, there's a knight costume and stuff like that. And these costumes actually transform them into uh, these giant, like over the top spectacles. I'm going to bring up a combat sequence here, but it's rather adorable, to say the least. And you go around and you meet these other kids, and you do just like very fun like holiday activities, like Bob for Apples and Trick or Treat. And the trick or treats are how you start like a random battle too. So sometimes you'll get candy, and the candy can be used for upgrades and items, or it'll be a random, goblin just pops out, and then you get into this giant fights with these goblins. There are some mini boss fights in this game too. That when you get down later into the game, but overall, like the difficulty of this game is not that hard. It's more of a junk food kind of game. You play it just to have fun and not to overthink about a difficulty system. It's not an in-depth, complex, JRPG with like these crazy class systems and level up mechanics and stuff like that. It is more of a just fun, atmospheric, spooky type of feeling Halloween game. I actually played this earlier this year in like I think January or February, which I think is kind of funny. But I was actually shocked too because you beat this game in basically 4 hours, and you go through like these little levels, like a mall level. This is obviously the neighborhood level. You go to the other world with the goblins and stuff like that, and the puzzles are pretty fun and savvy. I would say not overly challenging, but not just very, very unique atmospheric game. It's one of Double Fine's, I would say, more simple titles, to put it out there quite bluntly. Most of the time, you're not even doing combat in this game. You're basically doing puzzles and exploring the world, just trying to get this whole atmospheric vibe done. And there's not really too much to talk about this game beyond just it's short, it's fun. It is available on Game Pass too, so you can still play this game in its original form. It did come out for the 360 and the PS3 back in the day, and I know it got ported to a bunch of like iOS and other of those operating systems, but I don't know if those are still available. But I do know you can still get this game on either PS3 or Xbox 360, and it is backwards compatible. But like as you can see right here, look at this. This is just glorious. This giant transformation into these just over the top, giant like knights and robots and stuff. And they have like a basic system where it combines a little bit of a Mario-esque Brotherhood or something, not Brotherhood. Mario Luigi are RPGs. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of timing. It's simple, and it's satisfying. It's a very satisfying game to play, especially if you're looking for something next year to play for Halloween and get in that mood, and you want to play it and just have like a very nice atmospheric kind of game. I highly recommend checking this game out. Costume Quest 2 did come to Xbox and PlayStation 4, so there are more modern ways to play it. You don't necessarily have to play the first game and the DLC, because I want to play the DLC soon. But yeah, it's just very good. It's just a very fun, solid, bite-sized game that Double Fine's known for, and this is definitely one of them. And Ando says, it's been a while since I played Costume Quest. Remember the sequel being pretty good too. And Chromasis goes, that's awesome. But yeah, this game came out October 19th of 2010. And I said before, Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 is the only way you can really check these games out right now for sure. Neo, do you have anything you'd like to add before I move on?
I have not played the first one. I've heard it's good. I did play the second one. I actually just finished it earlier this year, back in May. But having not played the first one, first I didn't really know what was going on. I was very confused by the plot. But it also didn't help that I I started by diving it in March of 2019. Then I didn't get another achievement until December of 2022, and then my next achievement was in December of 2023, and then I got another achievement in January, and then I didn't actually play through the rest of the game until I started in December of last year, and that was all because of the 12 Days of Christmas. That's why a bunch of these achievements are spread out by a year. I got them in December, and then earlier this year I was like, all right, I'm going to go and finish this whole game, and I did most of that in May. So I played it over the course of like 6 years. So picking up midway through the game, like 6 years after I started, I had no idea what was going on. So I really need to sit down and play it from start to end. If I ever do that, I'll definitely need to play the first one first, because they are short games and they are cute. But another thing that'll also improve my enjoyment of the game is there is an achievement, at least in Costume Quest 2, the one that I played so far, for beating it with one, because you have 3 party members, with one of your party members always dressed as Candy Corn, and Candy Corn does not do anything. They just sit there and do nothing other than get hit, so they're one more target for the enemies to attack. So that's the only benefit. They cannot attack back. You have to have the Candy Corn in your party for the whole game. So you're basically handicapped, playing the whole game with one hand tied behind your back. So if I end up playing it again, I will probably enjoy it more, because I'll actually have 3 people I can attack with. Does Candy Corn operate the same way in the first game, where it does absolutely nothing?
Yeah, it doesn't really do anything at all.
Oh, sorry. It does do something. It hurls insults, which have 0 effect. Because when I was doing some of the game on stream, because it was one of the games I finished this game on stream because back in May, my goal was to finish my dive, which I started back in 2019. So I could dive all the games I've been backlogging for all these years before I went on my summer trip. And so this was one of the games I did like the last hour of the game on stream, because I just needed a couple more achievements to finish my dive. And this was one of the games. And someone was like, what is Candy Corn doing? I'm like, literally nothing except hurling insults, because there's an achievement for it. And they're doing nothing. So if I play through it again, I will enjoy myself a little bit better, and I'll probably understand what's going on better, since I won't be jumping into the game from the midpoint 6 years after starting it.
For sure. And it comes with DLC too, so if you want the full story, you have to buy the DLC.
Oh, the first one, yes, it does have DLC, and I'm pretty sure I have it and the DLC. I just decided
they go on sale all the time. You could get them both for you get all 3 of them for like $5.
Yeah, on Xbox right now, Costume Quest 1 is currently on sale for $2.25. And the DLC it's actually free, and it's not on sale. It's just always free.
Oh, there you go. Even better.
So let's see. Do I have it? I don't have it marked as owned. So if I don't, I'll go acquire add that license to my to my collection, so in case I ever play it, because it is digital only, at least on Xbox. I don't know if it got a physical anywhere.
No, the only one it got was a limited run for the number 2 on PS4.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're digital only games.
But yeah, for I'm not a fan of turn-based combat. Turn-based RPGs are not my thing. But I didn't hate it. It was cute, very cutesy. Because I also don't like spooky stuff, so I don't like scary. I wouldn't say spooky. I don't like scary stuff, especially not like demonic stuff. But this is very cutesy Halloween, so I enjoyed it for the most part. Just it would have been better if I didn't have to play, handicapped with Candy Corn in my party the whole game.
Yes, indeed. All right, Neo, do you want to go to your next game then?
All right, so my next game is, what did I say that I was going to talk about next? Oh, yes. So as you see here, I played both of these games this year. I started out with the because you've talked about this game, or the first one. This is Warhammer Space Marine 2. You've talked about the first one. It is actually, it's been like the digital version's been delisted on Xbox, so you can't buy it digitally. So you have to buy it physically, and the physical copies, because it's been delisted, are exorbitantly overpriced. They're not like too crazy, but it's more than I'd want to pay for an old 360 game. Fortunately, they decided to remaster it and release it on Game Pass, so I was able to play the War Mastered edition of Space Marine 1. It was I did not like it as much as I thought I was going to like it. I thought it was going to be awesome. It was okay. There were a couple of parts at the end. I'm like, who designed this? This is terrible game design. But overall, it was okay. I immediately went into Space Marine 2 and played through. One of the nice things is that Space Marine 2, you can play the whole thing in co-op, where Space Marine 1, the only co-op is in like the separate co-op mode, where it's like a kind of like a horde mode sort of thing. But in Space Marine 2, you can play through the whole game with a buddy, and my buddy Rozik and I played through it entirely in co-op, and it was a lot of fun. This game was freaking awesome. It's very much like Gears of War. Not that Gears of War is bad. I just am not a huge fan of the Gears of War franchise. I played Gears 1, 2, and 3. I never bothered with 4 or 5, both because I heard they weren't that great and because the studio just went like way off the deep end with like retarded achievements that are all like based on the multiplayer. When Gears of War's multiplayer, I hate Gears of War multiplayer with passion.
And that's for a special autistic breed of gamer.
I hate Gears of War multiplayer, and they have the most retarded achievements in like all of Xbox and it's like all multiplayer. It's like I've beaten Gears of War 3 and it's got like 90 achievements and I have like 30 of them. And the amount of achievements, I still have more achievements I can get in the campaign of Gears of War 3, but not very many. All the rest of the like 60 achievements are all in the multiplayer, and I don't want to do that. And Gears of War 4 and 5 just took that to the extreme, and there's stupid achievements for like get 100,000 kills with each gun in the game. It's like, I'm never going to do that, so I've never played 4 or 5, and I'm not going to. But in my opinion, this is Gears of War what it should have been. The chain sword is awesome. It's basically like the Lancer, but better in my opinion, because it's actually, I've seen like people who've tried to build like a real one and it's not really a feasible weapon, but it's okay because it's for a video game and it's freaking cool. But in my opinion, this is Gears of War, but better. Your giant hulking space marine, you're fighting these cool, xenomorph like aliens. You got all these cool guns. You can play the whole thing in co-op, which, like I said, is what I did. I did the first half of the game because I was hosting, and I did it on normal. But then the second half of the game, Rozik hosted, and he had been playing through it on hard. So we played the second half of the game on hard, and I didn't feel cheated like I did in the at the end game of the first game. So on hard, I thought this one was better balanced, and the executions are freaking cool, and you got a bunch of different executions for each of the different weapons. I still basically know almost nothing about the lore of Warhammer, even after playing both these Space Marine games. But it's just really freaking cool. I highly recommend this game, especially if you got someone to play through it in co-op. You can play it with up to 3 people co-op. We have a third buddy, but he's in a different time zone, so it makes lining up, and his schedule's a lot busier. So I haven't played this game with 3 people co-op, but Rozik and him have played it a bunch, and then Rozik has played it with me a bunch.
You could ask me. I have this game. You know that.
That's true. I was actually just... I think I just played this for a short... Yeah, that's right. For the 12 Days of Christmas event, there was 1 or 2 achievements I went and got in this game because it was... The achievements qualified for whatever day of 12 Days of Christmas I was on. So I did just play this for a few minutes within the last couple weeks. But this game is awesome. It's one of those like... you got like your super manly, like, let's movies like 300 or like Braveheart. This is that in a video game. The Space Marine 2 is, you're these giant hulking monstrosities of dudes that are gigantic in this, huge armor. You get weapons like your hammer and your sword, and you get through different sections of the game, you get a cool jump pack, and you can, basically do like the Fist of Havoc from, Destiny, where you take your hammer and you like jet down on someone and just wipe out everyone in a huge group. You got all sorts of cool, executions. Like I said, this game is just freaking like manly at AF, and it is awesome. And I don't know if it won any awards last year because it did come out in 2024. But I definitely think it deserved some awards if it didn't, because this game was a lot of fun, and I still have a crap load to do in it because all I've done is the campaign, and there's still a whole like a co-op mode where it's kind of like horde mode. I forget what it's called, but there's like a whole separate mode where it's like wave based, which I haven't even touched yet. And there's also, I believe there's also a PvP mode as well, which I also have not touched. So I still have a lot of stuff to do in this game. And I'm not really looking forward to the PvP stuff because I'm not a fan of PvP, but the whole horde mode, I am looking forward to doing that as well. I don't know when I'm going to get to it, but I still got a lot to do in this game, and I'm looking forward to it because this game is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love this game. It's one of my favorite games I played last year too. I remember when they announced this, ironically enough, was at the Game Awards years ago. And I just had played the first Space Marine game, I want to say that New Year's Eve. So I was playing the original on my 360, and I was like, oh, I really like this game, you know? Like you said, it wasn't this amazing, over-the-top, like, great game, the first one. I actually thought that it was just good. It was good fun, classic fun. But
one thing I was going to mention about the original is because you convinced me, I think I bought it on last winter's Steam sale on Steam, but I haven't even launched it yet. And then the War Mastered version came out on Xbox. So I'm like, well, I'm just going to play that version instead.
Yeah, because that version's a faithful recreation of it with some quality of life improvements. It does a good job giving you the original experience. You don't even really have to worry about it too much. Unless you were really looking forward to playing the original multiplayer. But
Nope.
I definitely was not either. But like, yeah, this game is a vast improvement on every level from the original game. Combat just feels so much more smooth. Gunplay feels so much more refined. Melee combat's great. I
probably did more melee combat than gun combat.
Yeah, another thing too is I love the mechanic of like these little xenomorph ripoffs, as I like to call them. Basically, I think the studio that helped make this game was one of the lead developers of World War Z.
Okay, so that would make sense. The not the physics, but the enemy AI on like the swarming seems very similar.
Mm-hmm. And just overall, I love the story too. Especially because I think a lot of people, if you didn't play the first game and you went right to this one, the ending, I don't want to spoil it, but that ending was like, whoa, what the fuck are they gonna do here? You know, because if you played the first game, that ending has a lot more weight to it, and you will understand it a lot more because there's a certain thing that happens in the first game that continues on in the second game, and I don't want to spoil it because I want people to play it.
You'll have to tell me because I'm forgetting exactly what happened story-wise in both. Since, like I said, I play this game entirely in co-op, and sometimes you're not paying a whole lot of attention to the cutscenes and stuff. So afterwards, you'll have to tell me kind of the details of what.
I'll explain it. It's not that big of a spoiler for you, but I want people to play these games because these games are great. I know they just did another like awesome, cool limited edition for this game not too long ago that came with a very, sexy looking steelbook and with all the DLC and stuff on it too and stuff. So I want to get that one, but you know, we'll see. Money situations. I don't want to buy the same game again just to get this steelbook right now. But I already got this other collector's edition. Limited edition they put out with it. That had a really cool steelbook, but that's neither here nor there. This game is a fantastic game, and the co-op actually has its own side story too, because you play as a different squad.
The co-op mode that I was talking about.
Yeah, so like there's like when you play single player, there's stuff happening in the game that you want that you need to help getting some objectives done, and you play as a side squad that goes out there and do that, and that's the big co-op is that side squad out there.
Okay, so you're seeing kind of some of the same events, but from a different perspective.
Yes, like those big boss fights in the horde mode that you see at the end of that. That's a different storyline going on within that. So it offers like a converging and a diverging storyline at the same time.
Okay. One thing I forgot to mention on the not the single player, but like the campaign mode, since you can play it in co-op. one thing that also slightly differentiates it is you don't pick which character, because like I said, it's a 3-player. You don't pick which character you are. It's just the main character is who player 1 is, and then player 2 is like the secondary character, and then player 3 would be the tertiary character. But each of them have different like super abilities. So like the main character, I blanked on his name, but he kind of goes. Titus, thank you. His like super ability, he kind of goes into like this rage mode. But the second character, his special ability is like gun based. So you may have to play a little bit differently than if you were playing as Titus, because you don't have the same abilities. The same super, I should say. You can do all the same like attacks and stuff, but
yeah,
it does change up your strategy a little bit.
Yeah, no, I love this game. It's definitely everything I wanted in a sequel. It's like one of those games that's a perfect example of a sequel that does everything better than the original.
Yes, absolutely.
So I cannot wait. If you ever want to play this, let me know. I would more than be happy to.
I'll play through it. And it has been announced that they are working on a Space Marine 3, and I don't suspect it'll take... Well, because the original one came out in like 2010? So I don't think it'll be 15 years till they get to the next one.
Yeah, so you want to give a shout out what it is, where you can find it, so on and so forth, and then we'll move on.
Okay, let's see here. Oh, 2011 was the original, at least on Xbox. So Space Marine 2, I played it on Series X. Let's see here. It is... oh, shoot, sorry. I'm... correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty safe in saying that it is also on PS5 and on PC.
Yes.
And it does have a physical. I played it on Game Pass, so I played the digital, but it does have a physical, and I do want to pick that up at some point. It released on September 9th of 2024, and it's a third-person shooter, and it is really freaking awesome. And at least on Xbox, it is currently on sale for down from $70. It's till $28 right now on the Xbox Store.
That's a good steal right there. That's what I would say.
Let me pull it up here real quick on Steam and see if it's on sale, because I think Steam's winter sale just went on, started today as well. Let's see here. Space Marine 2 is currently on sale. It is actually on a bigger sale. It's $24 on Steam, down from $60. Oh, interesting. The standard edition on Steam is $10 cheaper than it is on Xbox.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, $24 on Steam and $27 on Xbox. I don't know about how to look up PlayStation price if it's on sale right now.
I'm pretty sure it's on sale everywhere for roughly the same price.
So, but yeah, it is not on Game Pass though. The first game's War Mastered Edition is on Game Pass. Space Marine 2 is not on Game Pass. So, you would either need to pick up, you'd have to buy it either physically or digitally somewhere to play it. But I would recommend it because it is a lot of fun, especially if you've got a co-op partner. It makes it even better.
Yes, indeed. All right, we're going to get right on to my third game that I played this year. And this is probably one of my favorite games that I played this year, hands down.
I don't even know what this is.
This game is called The Puppeteer.
Oh, you talked about this on Party Chat.
Yeah, so this is a game that kind of caught me off guard. I heard nothing but good things about it. This is an old Japan Studios game from the good old PS3 era. And I've been kind of going back and playing some games on the PS3 that I've heard good things about that I never actually played. And this was one that came highly recommended, and everyone's like, well, if you're a big fan of, say, for example, Japan Studios, then this is a game that you must play. And the best way I could kind of describe it is this game is like laid out a little bit like a play. So each one of the levels that you're playing on is more like a stage in that play. So everything's like sectioned off to be like a play stage, and then you move on to the next one, and it's all very well done, which is how can I say this? Like the environmental storytelling and everything here is just amazing. You play as a character called Kujiro, and Kujiro is basically this guy, this little boy who gets taken to the moon and you got to fight the moon, like the moon bear, the werebear. I forget what his name is off the top of my head, who's stealing kids' souls and turning them into puppets. And he steals Kujuro's head. So one of the main mechanics in this game is that you can get different heads, and
Oh, that's
they become different things. So like you can have a gun head, a sword head, a spider head, a skull head, and each of them like give you like a special ability, and they do like a crazy little dance, and like you unlock certain things. Now this game can be played in co-op as well. I didn't play it in co-op either.
real quick. That's kind of like similar, but kind of flipped on a game that I've played called Headlander, where you have the same head, but you get different bodies, and the different bodies have different abilities.
Yeah, and you do get a chance to get your head back too. That's another thing, as you can see from the gameplay here. But it's such a unique and interesting game because every level is done up to be a different part of a stage play, and each end boss of these games is very weird, like creatures. So I think there's a dog, there's a bull, there's a horse. I think they're partly inspired by the Chinese zodiac a
Yeah,
little
I've got it
bit.
pulled up the wiki on it right now, and yeah, it says the animals of the Chinese zodiac.
Yeah. And each level is very unique and interesting. This is not necessarily like 100% handcrafted claymation, but it is on that style of trying to be, handcrafted a little bit in that vein. And each level is like just layered over each other into like fun, interesting, unique platforming things. Now, the main way that you get around this game with the physics is with a pair of scissors, and the pair of scissors is such a unique and interesting way to play this game, because as you'll see right here, you got to cut your way up, and you got to like basically fly on these things and keep your momentum going up by cutting on pieces of paper and
Oh,
strings
okay.
and stuff like that too. There will be challenges where you have to like twist the knots through spider webs and cut like a certain way through the spider webs. There are bonus stages too, as you can see here, that take you into another level, and you have to do certain things like a certain way, or get like a certain head to be there a certain way too, to unlock special powers and stuff. The one thing I would say about this game that very like surprised me was the amount of verticality that they put into this game, and a lot of timing and stuff like that too. Like one of the bosses is a dragon, and the only way to kill the dragon is you kind of have to do what you're doing here and like scissor your way up across his body, and then you jump around and you got to go on the right paths and stuff. This game is not hard, but it's not easy at the same time. It's very weird to describe it. They give you that. There's a term for it, but like the coyote fall is, I think it's what it's referred to.
Oh, like Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, so like you get like a few seconds to recover from a fall, and your scissors can kind of give you a little extra oomph. But it's just the verticality of this like game, where it's just very fast, very fluid, very fun, especially for a PS3 game. I always find PlayStation 3 games to be very loose. This game was very well optimized, very tight, and ran very, very well. Um, I would say too, I thought the story was very funny. Like there's a lot of jokes and everything that happens here, especially because later on you get another character. I forget her name, but she's like a moon spirit, or her dad's the sun or something like that, and she will assist you instead of this cat. She'll take his place, and she's always fighting with the narrator of this game because, like I said, this game is basically a stage play, and everything is kind of done up to be like a stage. So there's like intermissions after each level you do, and then there's a narrator that tells you the story, because Kujiro, he can't talk, so everyone else around him has to talk. And that's like the funny thing too, is just the interactions between all the characters, just telling these jokes, being over the top, like belligerent and crazy and weird. Um, they make a joke about how communism is bad in this game, which made me laugh. And I just love this art style. Like I said, it gives me that very Tim Burton-esque feeling of
Yes.
feels too. You want to expound on that point since you were like, yes.
Oh, I was just when I saw when you turned it on, it was giving me thoughts of some art style, and I couldn't put my finger on it. It's Tim Burton is what it makes me think of. So yes, I was just agreeing.
Yeah, and this is one of those games where I'm just like, I wish they would port this game to modern consoles because this game is awesome.
I know we talked about this on Party Chat, but is it digital only?
No, it got a physical release. It's not that expensive right now, actually. I think it's like $50 for a physical copy of it, used, which is not terrible, especially considering how some modern prices are. Like PS3 games haven't all kind of went crazy. They're relatively still cheap, or affordable, I should say, if you were looking for them. The only ones that are like super expensive are like the obscure digital only games that got limited physical releases. Like, say for example, Rain. Rain's one of those games that's a digital only game, but it was ported to, but it had like a small physical release in Asia, and it's like $100 for like the Japanese version only, and that has no English subtitles to that. But Rain's a game that you don't really need, subtitles to play. There's no talking in it at all.
Okay.
But this game for sure is loopy, crazy, chaotic, very, very engaging. That's the best way I can say it. It's just like super engaging, super fun, super fast gameplay, unique gameplay. I don't think I've played a game that was ever anywhere close to a game like this, where the scissors are your main form of attacking and jumping and getting around. It's just unique. This is probably one of the games I would recommend if you own a PlayStation 3. You should highly buy this game if you haven't played it already. And on top of that too, if you do have a PlayStation 5 and you enjoyed Astrobot, this game for sure feels like where it got a lot of DNA from it. Astrobot got a lot of DNA from this game. I felt a lot of Astrobot vibes in this game after I played Astrobot, when I played Astrobot, and then I played this game this year. I was like, oh, I feel a lot of Astrobot's inspiration was put into this game. Like that's the best way to say it. It's such a great, fun, chaotic combat nightmare fuel, funny, loving, great game. Another thing too, I'd like to point out is like one of my final thoughts on the game before we move on is this game actually was built with 3D TVs in mind as well.
Oh.
So there's a lot of like when you watch a 3D movie, you know how like there'll be those random explosions and stuff flying at the screen, or you could clearly see like the hand leave the screen and come towards you a little bit more pronounced than usual. This game has a lot of that in this game, and
Okay.
if you have a 3D TV still, if you're one of those people that actually bought one,
You're one of the 3 people that still has one.
yeah, one of the 3 people that want to get the most features out of it, that's one of the more unique things about this game too, is that even if you don't have a 3D TV, it wasn't overpowering to the point where it was annoying, but you could tell that for sure it was made with some of that in mind as well. So this was, like I said, the Puppeteer came out September 5th of 2013, so it was an end-of-life PS3 game, and I think this is the better one than The Last of Us, if you ask me.
Okay. This was a late stage PS3, so I'm assuming it had trophies, right?
Yeah, it did have trophies.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. If I had a PS3, I'd want to play this.
Hey, JM, how you doing, buddy? But yeah, no, this game's awesome. I love it. I was thoroughly blown away with just how much I enjoyed this game. And whenever people talk about the PS3, they'll go like, "Oh, The Last of Us, oh, Uncharted, Infamous, Killzone." This is, I think, easily a top 5 PS3 game.
Top 5 PS3. Okay,
Yeah,
that's some mighty praise.
yeah. I love this game. It easily could be like it is a contender for my backlog game of the year, but I still have to figure out some stuff for sure before we talk more about that tomorrow. But that is the Puppeteer, and just wanted to give it this roses. And yeah, if you guys have played it, definitely like to hear some thoughts in the comments. But if you haven't and you still have a PS3, go check it out.
All right. Okay. Because it's not backwards compatible, is that right?
No, it's one of those trapped on a PS3.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Sad, very sad. This is a great game. It holds up even to this very day. It's one of those great examples of a good game that still holds up no matter what time period you play it in.
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna ask you a question about it, but the footage answered my question. So yeah, that looks like a fun game.
What was the question?
Oh, because when it first started, I was like, "Is this more of a puzzle game or a platformer?" It definitely looks like a platformer.
Oh, it's a platformer.
It doesn't look like it's got any or very minor puzzle elements.
No, there's some puzzle elements to it, but the platforming is the biggest one.
Okay. So. All right.
Next game for you, Mr. Neo.
All right, let's see here. All right, so my next game to talk about tonight is a little gem that I've been introducing as many people as possible to, because basically no one knows about this game. And I am one of, if not the foremost expert on this game in the world who is not the developer himself. I've played this game a lot, and I have quite a few achievement guides for this game on my YouTube channel. It's one of the, I think it's the only game where I have like more than like 2. But this is Exophobia. So this game came out in 2024. At least it did on Xbox. I think did it launch on everything at the same time? Let's see here. Did it launch on? Yeah, it did launch everywhere at the same time in July of 2024. And this is the funny thing about this game is I had the idea for this game. And then literally like a month later, I discovered this game existed because, I'm a huge fan of Metroidvanias. Someday I hope to open a game studio, and I have a lot of ideas for games in general, but I have a lot of ideas for Metroidvanias. And one of the ideas I had for Metroidvania is like, because I often rant about not only how few 3D Metroidvanias we have, there's very few of them, but how many first-person shooter Metroidvanias we have, because other than the Metroid Prime games, we literally have, I could count the number of first-person Metroidvanias on one hand. That's how few there are in all of gaming. So I was thinking out, hey, what are games and or genres that could be adapted to a Metroidvania formula? And I was like, oh, you know what? Classic Doom would be a perfect setting for a Metroidvania. Then I had that thought, and I wrote it down in my notebook where I write down all my ideas for video game plots, video game concepts, movie plots, invention ideas. I got a notebook for all of it, so I wrote that down. Literally like a month later, this game wasn't out yet, but I discovered this game. I don't remember how I discovered it, but that's exactly what this is. As you can see, it looks like classic Doom, and it is a Metroidvania. You get power-ups that allow you to reach new areas of the map that you couldn't reach before. And there's a couple of things that I would tweak about it, like I played it on Xbox. There have been a few updates on the Steam version that have not come to the Xbox version yet, and a lot of my gripes with the game have been addressed in that update that is on Steam but hasn't come to Xbox yet, because I do now own it on Steam as well. And so I have actually been in touch with the developer himself. I've not talked to him like in real time, but I've talked to him on Discord and stuff. He's a great dude. They're from Portugal, I believe, or Spain, one of those two. But I've been in contact with him because unfortunately there are a couple of bugged achievements that even though I've met the requirements, they will not unlock. So on Xbox, no one has gotten all the achievements in this game yet. As soon as the patch comes out that fixes those bugs, I plan to be the first person on Xbox to get 100% in this game because I only have 2 achievements left and they're both bugged. So no one has them. But on Steam, some people have all the achievements because the achievements are not bugged on Steam. But my main platform is Xbox, but I have played it on both. So, but there are a lot of, like I said, there are abilities that you acquire that are all basically upgrades for your gun. So first you get your gun at the beginning, like right at the beginning of the game, and then you unlock a charge shot, which allows you to break certain like panels that you couldn't break before, which opens up new paths. Then you later on get a teleport shot. So you shoot your little laser thing and you hit one of the buttons, and then wherever it was at that point, it sets a point, and then you hit the button again, you teleport to that spot, and that allows you to get across gaps that you couldn't get across before because there's no, just like original Doom, you can't look up and down, everything's on a flat plane, and there's no jump. And then later on you get after the teleport, what's the next upgrade? I might be forgetting an upgrade, but then there is a blast upgrade where you charge up a shot and then you shoot it and then you hit a button and it detonates and it explodes, which allows you to blow up walls that you couldn't blow up before. So it is for all intents and purposes, it is a first-person Metroidvania, which inject it straight into my veins because we need more first-person Metroidvanias. And the fact that I had the idea for this game and then discovered that someone was already working on it was like chef's kiss. But if someone does play it and they have any question about it, I'd be happy to help. Like I said, I'm probably the foremost expert on the game who is not the developer himself. I have mapped out because there's like on Xbox, there's only like 70 people who have played it, and it's a similar player count on Steam. There's probably less than 500 people who have even played this game on any platform, because I do know that it is on PlayStation as well, but I don't have a PlayStation, so I haven't played the PlayStation version. But there's very, very small player count on this game. So there's basically no information about the game. So I went and I mapped the whole game and marked where all the items are on the map, and I put that out there. So if you see a map, I created that map. There are like 4 or 5 different types of collectibles in the game. There's a few for each one. I went and created, obviously I mapped it out where they are on the map, but I also created collectible video guides, which are on my channel. So if you come across a collectible guide for this game on YouTube, it's probably mine. Because like I said, there's like no information on this game.
Well, your mic is kind of cutting out there, Neil.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it sounds like you're talking far away from it. You want
to? It hasn't moved.
There you go. You were just maybe too far away from your mic.
That's weird. But yeah, so easily the biggest issue with the game is there is nothing indicating where you're supposed to go for like what I call the critical path. Like a lot of times Metroidvanias, you get different abilities that allow you to explore different areas, but you may not necessarily know where you need to go to progress the story. This game doesn't do a great job of showing you where that is, because how the game is laid out is there are 4 floors and there's one elevator. There's 3 elevators scattered across the map, and they're all in the same spot on each floor, which makes sense because it's an elevator. But there's like one elevator in the top center of the map, and then there's one kind of on the right, and then one on the left, kind of towards the middle of the map, because the map layout is basically like a big square on each of the 4 floors, but obviously each floor is broken up differently on each floor, and they each have kind of a different theme. So regardless what floor you're on, if you're watching a video of it, like as soon as he goes out of this upgrade room, he's on floor 1 because each floor looks differently, so it's easy to tell each floor apart from each other. But you start out like on floor 4, and then you go to like floor 1, but then like the next place you need to go is like floor 3, and then you fall down to floor 2, and then you need to go back up to like floor 3, then back down on the floor 1. So you got to go back up and down these floors like all the time, and you can go to any floor at any time. They're not blocked off in any way, so it's not like, oh, I have to go to floor 2 because that's the only option I have. As soon as you can find the first elevator, you can go straight to floor 4, floor 1, 2, 3, doesn't matter. But there's nothing indicating where the next item is or what floor you should go to. So I told the developers, like, one thing that would really be handy is when you're in the elevator, if there was just like something highlighting which floor your next objective is on, so you're not aimlessly wandering around on a floor that you can't progress on because you don't have the required ability. So I have written out a guide. It's on Steam as well. So if you go to Steam and find the map that has all the items marked on it, like I said, that one's mine. It also has the bosses marked on what the order is. So if you look at that, you'll be able to figure out what the correct order is to go through the game. So like I said, the biggest thing is just not knowing which floor you're supposed to go to. So if you looked at that map, you could see, oh, I just beat boss 1, so I need to go do boss 2. What floor is boss 2 on? Then you know at least what floor you're supposed to be on in order to progress the story. So that's my biggest issue with the game that has not been addressed, because my other biggest issue is the map. You can go and pull up the map from the save room and scroll around the map. But when you're outside the save room, you can hit the back button or whatever the back button is on whatever you're playing. I believe the game is also on Switch because obviously it could run on Switch. I'm almost positive it's on Switch. But whatever the back button is on whatever you're playing on brings up an overlay of the map just like it would on Doom. But the thing is, you only can look at it for a few seconds because it runs on a battery and then it fades until you get to a save room and it recharges the battery. Horribly dumb design decision, in my opinion, but that has been patched in the Steam version, so you can turn that off so you don't have to worry about running out of battery. But like I said, that it's still on the console versions because that patch has not hit the consoles yet. So, but anyways, it's I really enjoyed this game. I put probably one of the achievements that is broken is beat the game in under 3 hours. I have a save right at the end of the game at about like 2.5 hours. So I've got like 30 minutes left, and there's only about 10 minutes left of the game. So as soon as the patch comes out, I can go and beat the game and get the speedrun achievement. But because I've played the game so much when I was mapping out all of where the collectibles are and making my collectible guide videos and stuff, I played the game a lot. I probably got, let's see here. According to True Achievements, it says I have about 60 hours in it. I probably have, my guess is probably closer to 80 hours, even though, if you were speedrunning it, the speedrun achievements for only 3 hours. So it's not a terribly long game if you know where to go. My first playthrough of it was probably about 20 hours. But like I said, I've spent probably about 80 hours in the game getting to know it so I could create all my maps and stuff and everything. And shout out to Zark Attack, which is the developer. And if you're looking for a retro style first person shooter Metroidvania, I definitely recommend it. It's a lot of fun. If you have any questions about it, let me know, because like I said, I'm very well versed on this game with all the time I've spent on it. So I plan to be the first person to complete it on Xbox. It is it's a pretty cheap game. Full price is only $15. It's not on sale on Xbox right now, but it is currently 50% off on Steam for only $7.50. So if you're looking for a cheap game, and as well, this could be right up your alley. I definitely recommend it. I just want to let more people know about it.
All right, cool. That game does look like a good boomer shooter, so
that it is.
Might want to check that out eventually myself.
Because I've been working with Tyler at Game Shelf a bunch. I was the first person featured on the front page because he does like a library highlight thing where you answer a few questions, and what's an underrated gem that people should know more about. I talked about that game, and he went and bought it because of my recommendation. So if you do end up playing it, let me know. I'd just like to know if you bought it based on my recommendation.
Okay, cool. All right, my second to last game is a game that I played earlier this year on stream, actually as a part of a highlight. And I really did like this game. just from the whimsical nature of it, and that is the Plucky Squire. And the reason why I like the Plucky Squire so much is that this game takes a very interesting approach to gameplay. So everything like at the beginning of the game is 2D based off of, this kind of old school Captain Underpants kind of, old like kid stories we used to read back in elementary school and middle school. And it's done on this perspective of a book. So the story starts off kind of like simple. You just are the Plucky Squire. You go around. You're trying to stop. Humgrumph is the name of the villain for like the 130th time or something like that. But then it breaks the third wall, and you find out Humgrumph realizes that you're in a story that he will always lose to the Plucky Squire. So what happens is he can rewrite the story, and he basically takes away the Plucky Squire's like ability to be the hero, and forces him to leave the book. So when you leave the book, you go into like the 3D world, and
That's a
everything.
really cool concept for a video game.
It is an incredibly cool concept for a video game. So you go outside into the 3D world. You're in the little kid's room that the book is, because the Plucky Squire is basically a book made by this little kid, and you are trying to keep him inspired to make more books in the future, where he becomes a great author of children's books. But no, let me rephrase that. He doesn't make the Plucky Squire, but he's inspired by the Plucky Squire to eventually make his own kind of books in the future.
Okay.
And this game is very easy, but it's very, chill, satisfying, and fun. And there's a lot of cool mechanics in this game. So later on in the game, you get this ability to actually leave and do stuff with the book. And when you do stuff with the book, it affects the stuff inside of the game world itself to solve some puzzles and that. And you can actually go back into the story, pick and choose how you want to do things in the story by constantly flipping the pages back and forth, hopping in and out. And it does start to like change up a little bit of how the world works inside of this book too, by switching to different gameplay mechanics. So it goes from like a side scroller to a rhythm game where like one of the fights is actually, a rhythm battle with one of the bosses, and you'd have to keep like hitting the skull back and forth before you can like kill this eagle. Then there's another one where it's like a bubble or a bubble panic kind of game, like one of those Connect games where you shoot up and then it's like a Tetris clone. Like they put a little mini Tetris clone in this game.
Okay.
And it becomes a spell battle, and you have to win the spell battle. And like one of the big end game fights is a giant space shooter kind of battle. That's the best way to put it. Like over here, you're gonna see the game becomes like a mini boxing game at the end too, which is very funny if you ask me. It's just very whimsical. This game is very whimsical, fun, unique, and interesting. It was actually highlighted to me because it was shown off at PAX East the year it came out in 2004 or 2024, sorry. And a lot of my friends in the Discord group were saying, because they went to PAX, they're like, look at this game, check it out, keep your eye out on it, because it was very unique and interesting. They all highly recommended it. So eventually I bought it and I tried it out, and this was one of the better games of not only last year but this year. It's very family friendly. It's very easy. Nothing like crazy is going to blow your mind, but it has a very unique system. You go into other books and you have to adjust to those other books as well. And there's like little Easter eggs in there. Some of them are, I guess, like Doctor Who references and stuff like that. Jolt is the name of the Plucky Squire, but this is just a fun game. It's just pure fun. It's family friendly. So like you definitely could give it to your kids to try to check it out and have a little fun,
It's Punch Out.
Yeah, like I said, it's It's a fun, you know, kind of game to just play. There's it's always going to keep you like going, wow, I didn't expect this to be in this game. And the devs who make this game, like, they really did an amazing job with it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I would say this is a game that I would like to go back in 100% because that's how much I just enjoyed of it. And yeah, you have to go back. No, let me phrase that. You should go out there and try to play this game if you haven't already. Highly recommend it. I know it's on sale quite often now because it's been out for a while. There has been a physical release. It is on everything. And I did play a lot of this on the Steam Deck. And for some reason, I had a lot of issues playing it on the Steam Deck, which I thought was weird. Um, I can't explain why. It just was having a lot of slowdown, a lot of frame rate issues on the Steam Deck. So maybe it just wasn't optimized at the time when I played it. But overall, it's got a fun cast of characters. I think the storytelling is just interesting. I think it's fun. It was made by people who generally love making these type of stories, I think. And I think they have a very talented dev studio as well. Because there's small innovations in gameplay. There's small, like right here, you know, all this stuff in here is handcrafted and like painstaking detail to go in between the outer world, the inner world, and everything else like that. It is just amazing. Like I can only imagine how much effort they put into this game, and they didn't sell it for that expensive either. So
Yeah, full price, $30.
yeah, so if you want to support a really good indie dev and support unique and creative and interesting games, this is definitely one of the ones I would say go out there and check out, play if you haven't. This game came out September 17th of last year, so it is kind of relatively new. But I love it. I can't say enough about this game beyond just look. If you liked those old like cartoons that you grew up watching, or all those books that you used to watch or read, sorry, all those books you used to read, like if you enjoyed like the Captain Underpants humor and the over the top craziness, and you also wanted that as like I want it as a video game, and they basically did that inside of this video game, and all the levels, I could go on and on, just spoiling this game more and more about the levels. They got levels where you go inside paintings on cups. They got levels where you go outside and you're doing 3D cardboard, like Zelda, like Link's Awakening, small
Link Between
levels.
Worlds.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
like
Minish Cap.
no, like Link's Awakening kind of feel to it.
Okay.
Yeah, there's just so much fun to be had here. You're going to be shocked by how little game, like little segments on there, like the little Punch Out segment, a Bubble reference, you know, a rhythm game segment like that. It's just fun. It's just pure, like fun for the whole family. I think it did win Family Game of the Year last year. If anyone's interested in that too, but yeah, man, this game you should definitely check out.
It's developed by All Possible Futures, is the name of the studio.
Yeah.
So I had heard the name of this game, and I heard it was good. So I actually have it on my wish list, but I literally knew nothing about it. I hadn't even looked at it, other than I'd seen like the box art, like the the poster of it, until seeing this footage. That looks really freaking great. So I went to check. I was like, do I have this on my wish list? I do have it on my wish list, and I don't know how I missed it, or it just because I didn't. It wasn't really high enough on my mental list. It's a bummer. It was just on sale on Xbox last month for 70% off for $9. I totally would have bought it. If I know now when it was on sale, I definitely would have bought it. But I'm sure it'll go on sale again sometime in the future. It's currently on Steam on sale for 50% off for $15.
Okay. That's all I have to say about the Plucky Squire. Go check it out. It is on everything. Switch, PS5, Xbox, PC, so you can play it wherever you like.
I will absolutely play this at some point. This looks great.
All right, Neil, your last game.
All right, so my last game is a game that I was playing for Metroidvania Monday. Just finished it a few weeks ago, and I had to rearrange my top 5 Metroidvanias of all time because of this game, because it was that good. As you can see on the screen here, that is Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. This game is phenomenal. The platforming is top tier. It is so precise and fast. And the combat is excellent. I never really felt like anything was ever, except for one boss fight. I never felt like it was like the game screwing me. It was like, oh, I messed up. That was my fault. This one boss fight I did not like, because you're not like crazy fast, but this boss fight was like, the boss himself was like stupid fast. So I don't know like how you're supposed to do, not like I cheesed the boss fight or anything, but I don't know how you're supposed to be able to do this fight without just like getting wrecked, and you having to, spam your consumables and stuff. But other than that one boss fight, the game felt totally fair. Like I said, the platforming and the combat was just like fantastic. If there's one other thing besides first-person Metroidvanias that we have a lack of, it's side-scrolling Metroidvanias that are not pixel art. Not that pixel art is bad, because it's just there's so many pixel art Metroidvanias. Anytime a Metroidvania is not that's 2D and is not pixel art, always gives it a huge bump up in my book. Like one of my favorites, my favorite Metroidvania of all time is Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Another one that's in my top 5 is Shadow Complex. Metroidvanias that are 2D that are not pixel art. I do have one that I don't remember what I reordered it, but it was in my top 5. It might have been the one that got bumped off because of this game. That was a pixel art game. That was the Mummy Demastered, is the one pixel art game that's in my top 5 Metroidvanias, or at least it was. But yeah, as you can see, it looks good. It looks like this is actually my footage that you're showing. Is that right? Did I lose you? Are you there? Oh, maybe he stepped away. But anyways, I'm almost positive this is my footage, because I was having some technical difficulties. So instead of streaming my normal setup from right here at my desk, I was streaming directly from my Xbox. And the only way to do that is through the Lightstream software, which is trash. I hate this Lightstream software, but it puts that watermark up there. So I'm almost positive this is my footage that we're watching from playing it for Metroidvania Monday, because I did the whole thing on stream. If you want to go and watch the game, I think it took me 5 stream. No, I think I did it in 8 streams. I'd have to go and check, but yeah, it is fantastic. It has a lot of puzzle elements that are also great. It's got a great variety of enemy types that all, each enemy type does, they all operate differently. There's some really cool, unique abilities as well, because one thing that a lot of 2D Metroidvanias get kind of raked over the coals for is a lot of them have the exact same like ability upgrades. So a lot of them, you may play one 2D Metroidvania and it's basically like the same as playing a bunch of the other ones, because they all have the exact same upgrades. There's some really unique upgrades in this game that I have not seen in any other Metroidvania. There's also some very unique enemy types that I've never seen in any other game, much less a Metroidvania. The one enemy type that stands out the most, and it's not a boss or anything, just standard enemy, is I know you're not big on movies, but did you ever see the movie Tenet?
I told you this last time.
No. Okay. So the movie Tenet, one of the interesting things about that movie is there's some characters that are moving like in forward time, but then there's other characters that are moving in like reverse time. So they're actually like going backwards. There's this one enemy that was just like that, where you're basically fighting this enemy, but he's going in reverse and you're obviously going in, forward time, essentially. It's kind of hard to explain, but it made me think of Tenet. And that was a really cool concept that I've never seen in another game. The boss fights are like super epic. It's almost like an anime because they're super cinematic. Some of the like, there's a variety of different like super attacks that you have a meter. You can't see it because our squares are covering it in the bottom right corner, but it goes from level 1, 2, and 3, and you can only have 2 equipped at a time. But you have different super abilities that are either level 1, 2, or 3, and depending on what level they are, then you have to build that meter all the way up to, like, if you have a level 3 attack equipped, you can't use it unless you've built the meter up to level 3. But all of these attacks that you do, they're all like super cinematic and makes you feel like you're playing an anime. And has, like I said, a lot of cool puzzle elements in addition to the platforming and the combat. There are there are some crazy platforming challenges. I was planning on doing them, but then I found out they're actually not required in order to get all the achievements. So I do have all the achievements in the game. I have not done all the platforming challenges. I only did the first one because I did the first one when I first came across it because I didn't realize like it was just a challenge. And then there was like 6 more to do. And I'm like, oh, I'll come back to those later. And then after I beat the game, I found out that they're not actually required in order to get 100% of the achievements. So I have not actually done them. But just doing the first one, they are tough, but they're fair. The platforming, some of the crazy platforming segments in this game are like nuts, but in a good way. And there's a lot of collectibles. And another thing that in the top left here, you see up on the D-pad is your potion, which is basically like your flask. Like a Souls game, you have flasks that refill some of your health, and you can upgrade the efficacy of your flask so it restores more health, and then you can also increase how many of them you can hold at a time. So that's literally the only thing that makes this game similar to a Souls-like. It's not like a Souls-like at all, and in like any other way other than the way you do your healing. But there are trees that you find. Those are basically your save points, and where you can equip your different amulets, which are just like your charms and like Hollow Knight, where you get additional charm slots, and some charm slots take up 1, some take up 2, the more powerful ones take up 3. You have all these different amulets, so you can kind of mix and match to fit your preferred like style of combat, because they all have different abilities and stuff. And later on, so from the beginning of the game, there are specific fast travel points. So once you reach them, you can unlock them and then use them to fast travel around the world. However, later in the game, you do unlock an ability where you can fast travel between any of the save points. So that definitely helps getting around the world and mopping up getting the 100% of the items collected. But the other thing here is down on the D-pad is this little eye symbol. And this is one of the most like ingenious features that I've ever seen in a game. It's like, why did no one think of this before? This should be standard for literally like any game that has a map nowadays, especially in a Metroidvania. What you do is you can hit the back button to go into the map and see the entire world map, which you've seen a couple times here while I've been playing it. And there's a bunch of different, you can place your own markers on the map, and it gives you a couple different markers to choose from. However, in addition to that is you can hit down on the D-pad at any time, and it'll take a in-game screenshot of whatever is on screen right now, and it'll pin that screenshot to your map. So there are a bunch of times where you come across like these puzzles, and it's like, I don't know if this is, in order to solve this, I may not have the ability to solve this because I don't have the required ability, or I may have the required ability, I haven't figured out how to solve it yet. So you're like, I don't know what to do here. So I'll take a picture of this spot and I'll put it on my map and I'll come back to it later. I was only playing this on stream, so I was only doing it on Monday. So it'd be a week in between times I'd be playing it. So there'd be, it's from the time I started playing it to the time I finished it was like a month and a half or so. So there things that, I totally forgot about that because that was so long ago, but I have a picture on my map. So I just hover over it on my map. So you can see the map right here. You can see the whole world all at once. If I hovered over the little eye symbol, it would show me that screenshot. So I'm like, oh, that's right. That was at that spot where there's this puzzle that I didn't know how to solve. So let me go back there. Or, oh, this chest is in a spot I can't reach because I don't have the double jump yet. Oh, I've got the double jump now. I'll go back to that spot and get that chest. So it was this really cool, unique feature that I've never seen in any other Metroidvania game that like all Metroidvanias should do going forward. It should be like a standard feature now. What There was another thing I was just going to mention, but I don't remember what it was. So, the one other thing that I will mention is while the base game is fan freaking tastic, and I highly recommend it for anybody who likes platformers, Metroidvanias, go play this game. Those are all the little markers you can put on your map manually, in addition to the screenshots you can put. The base game is fantastic. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Is my one like gripe with the game is that the double jump, which is a very basic standard feature in a Metroidvania, and is typically one of the early abilities you unlock in almost every Metroidvania, you unlock the double jump super late in the game. It was like the second to last ability you get. So it was kind of interesting having a Metroidvania where one of the most basic features that you usually get at the early on in the game is one of the abilities you get super late in this game. So it kind of changed up the formula. So I understand why they did it. It was just kind of annoying. It's like, how long do I have to play this game till I get the double jump? Not really a gripe, just like an observation. But another cool, like, biome, if you want to call it that, is the bottom right of the map is like this frozen right where I'm headed right now is like this frozen harbor area, and it's not frozen in the sense of like it's frozen by ice, it's frozen in time. So it's really cool because there's this giant wave that's just cresting, but it's just stopped in time, and you got like ships that were getting destroyed by the storm, but they're frozen in time. So the map design is great. It looks really cool, really good, and they've got cool, the world looks really interesting. You got a bunch of side quests to complete. There's lots to do in the game. I highly recommend it. It is a fantastic game. The easily the single biggest issue with the game is the DLC. It's very short. I was going to do it on stream, but I was having too many technical difficulties, so I ended up doing it off stream. You didn't miss anything if you were wanting to see me play the DLC. You didn't miss anything because the DLC is awful. It was terrible. So I don't recommend playing the DLC unless you're a completionist like I am. But the base game is fan-freaking-tastic, and I gave it 5 stars. And like I said, it is now in my top 5 Metroidvanias of all time. This is a fantastic game.
All right, cool beans. Yeah, I know you've been talking about this one a lot recently.
Oh, and the one other thing is that the only other Prince of Persia game I played was the cel-shaded one from 2008, which I enjoyed, but I never played any of the old classic ones. I do have them on my backlog because everyone's like, oh, you got to play the Sands of Time trilogy. Those games are great. I've not played them. I haven't played the really old ones either, so I have no nostalgia for the franchise because I know when this game got announced, people were like, what the heck is this? That's not the Prince. This looks like crap because, the Prince of Persia purists. That wasn't me because I don't have any nostalgia for the franchise. The moment I saw this game, I'm like, that looks fantastic. I can't wait to play it. I did play the demo of it in January of last year, and I fell in love with it. I could not wait to get through the Metroid games for Metroidvania Monday because I was like, the first thing I'm playing after I'm done with all the Metroid games for Metroidvania Monday is Prince of Persia Lost Crown, and it lived up to every expectation I had.
All right, cool beans. Any other information about this game you'd like to say before we move on?
Yes. So I played it on Xbox. I actually have the physical copy of it. It's probably the most recent physical game I've bought, and that's because I got it on some third-party seller site that was selling it for way cheaper than I could get it digitally at the time. So, but it is on everything, I believe. I think you can even get it off the iOS and Android store and play it on your phone if you wanted to. I believe it's on literally everything. Like I said, it's a great game. Let me see right now. It on Xbox, it is currently on sale. It's normally $30 full price. It's on Xbox, it's $12 right now. That is a steal for how good this game is. And then let me pull it up here on Steam and see if it's on sale here. On Steam, it is also $12. So it's the same price on Steam as on Xbox. Absolutely worth $12. Not a doubt, hands down. That is a steal for that price.
Okay, then. Very cool. Very cool.
And it came out August of 2024.
Okay, cool. All right, let me get this last one out of the way then, and we'll close out the show. This year, Onimusha 2 Remaster came out to modern consoles to Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch. And I played the original Onimusha game as well, the remaster that came out this year. Well, not this year, a while ago. Back in the day, they did that. And so it got me thinking, well, I never actually played the third Onimusha game. So I decided to correct that problem. And Onimusha 3 is going to be that game that I'm going to be talking about right here. And this game kind of blew me away because one of the main characters is actually Jean Reno.
I know him from Mission Impossible. He was a helicopter pilot. But I know a lot of people know him from the movie The Professional, which I haven't seen, but I've heard it's good.
I know him more from Jurassic Park, ironically enough.
Oh, that's
I mean,
right.
not Jurassic Park, Godzilla.
Wait.
Godzilla.
Godzilla. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Godzilla 98.
Yeah, Godzilla 98. I said Jurassic Park because the Godzilla was more like a T-Rex.
It was. I know everyone hated it because of that. Now, is this the original 3 or which version of 3 is this?
This is they have not ported or remastered this one, so the 3 is still only on the PS2.
Okay, because I know they are bringing the 3 remaster, right? It's just not out yet.
They haven't announced it at all.
Oh, it's not announced. Okay.
No, they have not announced a remaster port of this game to modern consoles. This one is still only trapped on the PS2, or if you had it for Windows back in 2005. This was later ported to that, but I played this on the PS2. I feel like this is the best Onimusha game that I played by far because it wasn't that short. I think the first 2 Onimusha games, you could beat both of them back to back in like 7 hours if you really tried. This one actually is a little bit more of a story. It's a little bit more thought out. There's a lot more meat on the bones. And I think it's a fun game because it brings back Samanosuke versus Jubei was the protagonist of the second game. They actually bring back Samanosuke for the third game. And Samanosuke is more of a badass here, still trying to stop Nobunaga and his army from coming back and messing up the world. And it also takes place in what was quote unquote modern day, because now it's about 20 years past that date, France as well. So this game did have a very cool system of going back in time and going forward in time with, Jean Reno's character also becoming a protagonist and fighting in ancient, Japan. And he gets the power of obviously the Oni clan. So he's going out there with like a whip sword too, which I really did enjoy. It's just like you got Jean Reno just messing up demons with a whip sword. And Samanosuke is actually spending most of his time in modern day Japan, or I mean modern day France at the time. I keep getting all this stuff mixed up. But what I like about this game is just it gives you that good old Capcom feel where you have to basically figure out puzzles by going back in time and then going forward in time. So one of them that I really did enjoy was you plant a tree in ancient Japan, and then you go to modern day times and the tree's fully grown and it becomes a ladder, and you get around some of the puzzles like that too. Combat in this game is definitely a lot more refined. It still has tank controls. This was like one of the last Capcom games that had the old school tank controls, but they were much more modernized and they were much better and more fluid in the way they played versus the older ones. Like they were still kind of tanky, you're still trying to line up and everything else like that. But this one definitely felt more fluid and fun to play comparatively wise. And another thing too is this game came out roughly around the same time as Resident Evil 4 came out too. So this game was definitely the Bastard Child series where they weren't investing too much into it.
I'm seeing that its release was February of 2004, so it's a bit older.
Yeah, well, that was the Japanese release. It released in Japan first.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so it actually came to the States in April of that year too. So it was like a staggered release, but like I said, this game is just really fun. I think a lot of the boss fights in this game were really well done and really cool. Jean Reno's boss fights at the end I thought were some of the best in the Onimusha franchise. And, there's there was a couple bosses that gave me fits because I didn't know how to fight them. But then once you found like a quick guide and it's like, oh, you gotta do something like just much more easy to do it. It's just like you gotta use like lightning attacks, and then I got kind of like plowed through. I'm like Samanosuke as a character, he is a lot more fun to play as, I would say, in terms of the overall boss fights. Especially the last fight against Nobunaga at the end was tough as fucking balls. Like I actually had a lot of struggle playing that one. And the reason why I had a lot of problems with it is because Nobunaga is kind of cheap. That's the best way to say it. It's just like he hits you and you take a crap ton of damage. And there's not really too much like you could do to counter him. He's just gonna wail on you, you know? Like he's gonna older brother you really badly. And after that, like the final standoff is really cool because Onimusha likes to do this at the end of a lot of these games where they give you like these Super Saiyan battles. So it's like Super Saiyan Nobunaga against Super Saiyan Samanosuke. That's the best way I could put it. And that fight was awesome. Um, it wasn't the same as this one, obviously, but Ashura's Wrath, it felt a little bit like that. Like I feel like a lot of inspiration for Ashura's Wrath went in came from
this.
a lot of these games. Yes.
I recognize that phone. It's a
Yes, it's a
Nokia.
it's an old school phone. And what I thought was funny about this game is they speak French in this game. Like this is actually in French. That's why it's subtitled.
Okay.
And then as soon as they like find Samanosuke and get like the demon world interacting with each other, then all of a sudden they're all speaking English. You know, they're all speaking modern day, like ancient Japanese to each other because they can understand each other, kind of like the TARDIS and Doctor Who. But I did find it funny that it just goes straight to like English accents. And
It's
just,
like,
catches me off guard.
kind of like jarring. It's like, wait, why'd you switch all of a sudden? It's like, if you're in ancient Japan, why would you even know English?
Yeah, it's like magical translators. It's the Onis that like help, or it's the ogres. Sorry, it's the ogres that help them learn how like translate for them. It's like the TARDIS in Doctor Who. That's what you say. You don't question it too much. It's just like convenience, you know.
Yeah.
But what you're going to see right here is this is all at the beginning of the game. But what I love about this is just like it's just a terrorist attack on France with demons. So you're seeing like all these French people get murked by ancient Japanese demons.
It's like, where the heck are these things coming from? It's kind of like in Ninja Gaiden 2, it's the same thing in Italy, and all of a sudden these werewolves start showing up and just killing everybody.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, once again, France loses another war that they did not want to fight.
That would be terrifying. It's like, what would you do in this situation? Guess I'll die.
I guess so. I was like, I hope I can just hide under my bed and ride it out.
So yeah, I know Jean Reno is in this one. The other guy, the Japanese lead, I'm assuming he's based on a real person as well. And
yes,
I don't know the actor's name, but based on his character model, if I had to guess, I know him as Gobei from Beverly Hills Ninja, but a lot of people probably recognize him from Mortal Kombat. Is that, it's the same guy?
So I know the actor's name. Like you can look it up.
What is that the Japanese lead? What is his character's name?
Samanosuke.
That is Samanosuke. Okay.
Yeah. So
interesting. He's not voiced by his voiced by Robert Atkin Downs, who his voice is a crap load of stuff in video games. Jennifer Hale is in this as well. Holy crap!
Yes, she is. She plays the girlfriend in this game.
Okay. D. Bradley Baker's in it as well.
Yeah. I did an episode of Legacy Loading on the Onimusha series. Actually, it was the first episode we ever did, and Keiji Inafune, who was the lead designer of this game, they base all their characters on famous Japanese actors. So Jubei is a famous Japanese actor that they use the face and the model for, and so is Samanosuke. He's based off a Japanese actor, and the reason why they did that is they were trying to get women to play this game as well too. They were trying to find handsome leads in
That's
these games.
right. Yes, I remember you talking about that. Yeah, I just looked it up. It's the actor who they based the character model on is Takeshi Kaneshiro, who is not
Yeah,
who I was thinking of.
yeah, like he was very famous in Japan. I didn't know too much about him. I know Jubei's face because I think he was a prominent '80s actor who passed away when they were done using his while they were making the game, which is sad. But no, yeah, they said that they always want to try to get like famous actors or something to try to help boost the sales of this game, try to get women to play the game, and that's why they also brought in Jean Reno. Like ironically enough, that Onimusha documentary actually went up to Onimusha 3's launch, so
Okay.
that kind of caught me off guard too. I was like, oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I was thinking it was the guy who played Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat.
No, no,
But no, it is not.
no. But yeah, this I love these Onimusha games. I'm actually gonna start playing Dawn of Sorrow soon. Or
Yeah,
Dawn of Dreams. Dawn of Dreams. Dawn of Sorrow was Castlevania.
I was just looking up the Onimusha game to see which ones had retro achievements, and the three mainline games have it. And I saw these two other ones that I'd never heard of. The one that you just mentioned, and there's one other one. Are those like spin-offs, or there's Samurai's? No, Samurai's Destiny. That is Onimusha 2. Blade Warriors and Dawn of Dreams.
Blade Warriors is a fighting game.
Okay.
It's an arena fighting game, and Dawn of Dreams is technically the fourth game in the series.
Okay.
But it's kind of looked at as like hit or miss. You either like it or you don't. It was kind of a drastic departure a little bit from the mainline Onimusha stuff. I don't know anything about that really, but looking forward to having that as a future conversation for another day because I think that's going to be my play New Year's Eve kind of game. You know.
Okay. I know you've recommended Onimusha Warlords to me many
Mm-hmm.
times. I do have it on my wish list. It's only $20 full price and it's gone on sale for $10 many times. I just haven't pulled the trigger on it yet. Have you played the like, because I think when you played it, you played the Xbox One version. Is that right?
Yeah.
Have you played the PS2 version, the original?
The original, so the original PS1, PS2 version, I should say, of Onimusha is kind of considered the shitty version.
Okay, so the modern version is a much better one.
The technically the best version is the original Xbox version.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's called Genma Onimusha, and
Yeah, you told me about that one. That's right.
and that's like the no balls Onimusha. And basically, no, let me phrase that. It means that like shut the fuck up and grow some balls version of Onimusha. That's what I mean. Even the devs themselves apologize because they made that one a little too hard for a lot of people because it's this is like the appropriate way to say it. It was basically like the Dark Souls version of Onimusha, where you basically fight nothing but like the strongest enemies from go, and it's just harder. There was a lot of quality of life improvements that they made there too, but the modern ports are like the best quality of life improvement that you'll play.
So the modern remake would be the best, would be the recommended way to get into the franchise.
Yeah, I would just say don't worry about the original PS2 release. It's more of the inferior version out of all three that have been put out there. Get it for, Xbox Switch, PS5, PS4, PC. It's on PC. It's on everything now. Capcom wants you to play these games. They are bringing them back slowly. They just announced a new Onimusha game for next year as well.
Yeah, I
So
don't know about that one. Oh yeah, Onimusha 2 is on Xbox One as well, but there's no Onimusha 3, right? The only way to play
yeah,
that is the
they
original
only
one.
did remasters of the first two.
So if you want to play Onimusha 3, you got to play it on the older version.
Only on PS2 right now.
Okay.
And that's the way I played it, and it holds up really well. It performs good. The load times aren't bad. It's a very good frame rate. It plays well. Like it's a well-made game. It still holds up. The tank controls aren't as bad as Onimusha 1 or like an old Resident Evil game. And overall, I just think it's got like the best story in the entire series so far that I've played. I think it's funny as hell that Jean Reno is the character that you play as in this game. I think it's one of the best cameos, I would say, in gaming history. Or you get to play Jean Reno as a demon slaying whip sword wielding man.
Yeah, it seems a little out of character for him.
It's just it's weird. It's like when you find out like a celebrity does commercials in Japan for like something else. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger does like McDonald's commercials in Japan. And you're like, what the hell's going on around here? You know, it's kind of like that. It's like, well, John Reno is more for like serious, action movies or
P90.
stuff. But it's just like you get this combination now, where now he's just fighting demons in France and ancient Japan and all this stuff. It's a good story.
And we're finally getting to see some gameplay here too.
Yeah. It's like John Renault's the only character that's got a gun too, in like every Onimusha series.
This is the first one that takes place in modern-ish day, right?
Yeah. At the time, it was modern day France. Yes.
Yeah, but yeah, it's not like ancient like the first two. Those take place in like feudal Japan.
Yeah. But I highly recommend this game, especially if you played the first two. Go out there and try to play this game. We need to get this ported. This one is, I think, the best out of the trilogy. And like I said, the other two games could be beat within 7 hours for the first two. This one, they definitely put more of a budget behind it, obviously, to get John Renault's likeness into the game. But they also add more of a story to it, a very interesting time twist plot, and it's just great. It's just pure fun. The combat is solid. The gameplay is solid. It runs really well. And I think it was one of the few examples of a gameplay. Well, let me phrase it. One of the few examples of gameplay that does time travel puzzles and time travel gameplay really well. The fish out of water characteristics in this game are great.
Okay, so it brought Samanosuke to modern day.
Mm-hmm.
Does Jean Renault ever go back to feudal Japan?
Oh yeah, I mentioned that as
Okay.
one of the first points I said.
Missed that part. Okay,
No problem.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, 100%. This is my favorite Onimusha game as of today.
All right. So you're looking forward to 4 then?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing. Dawn of Dreams. I keep saying Dawn of Sorrows because I think Castlevania.
Oh, that's not even. I was the new one that they're going to be releasing is what I was referring to. Whatever that one's called.
I am very excited. I'm making my list of most anticipated 2025 games right now, and it's stacked.
So Way of the Sword. That's the new one.
Yeah, and I think that guy's also another famous actor, but I haven't looked too much into it because I'm trying to avoid spoilers.
Okay, so that's a different character then.
Yeah, I forget the guy's name. They mentioned it, but
Modeled after Toshiro Mifune.
Yeah, he's a new character in the series. They're introducing him.
The first two Onimushas, do you play as Samanosuke in those as well?
No, the first game is Samanosuke, and then the next one is Jubei.
Oh, okay. And then you go back to Samanosuke.
And then you go to Samanosuke and John Renault as the dual protagonist in that one.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then Dawn of Dreams is also a different protagonist. I don't remember his name.
Okay.
Because I haven't played it yet.
Gotcha.
I've done some tertiary research into it, but I haven't played it yet. I've had a couple friends that I know played it, and one of them said he really liked it. Another one said he didn't like it. So far, I have no idea if it's good or bad. I'm at 50-50.
You have to play it and make up your own mind.
Exactly. Well, that's what I was going to do anyway, because that's what I always recommend with everyone. Always make up your own mind.
Yep. That's what I'm doing with Prime 4, which I think I should be able to finish on Monday. Cool. I know you didn't have this on the run sheet, but do you have any other any runners up that didn't quite make it? You just want to give a quick shout out?
Pokemon Black and White 2. I thought that game was pretty fun. I like what it did with the Pokemon series. It was the last DS Pokemon game. It was also the last of that 2D art style as well. I think they did a lot of vast improvements to it. And I want to say God of War 3. I thought that game was really great. Perfect way to end the original God of War trilogy. And another small game I wanted to put on here, but I said, I We're about to talk about something else because this game is impossible to play now in many ways, shape, and forms. It's Attack of the Friday Monsters.
Okay, I remember you mentioning that one on Party Chat one time.
Yeah, Attack of the Friday Monsters was a 3DS only digital game about a little boy and his friends living in a small rural town in 1980s Japan, and how they have this big imagination about kaiju fights. And it really goes into some hilarity with that too. And it is basically like a small anime movie in a video game form. It's very whimsical, very fun. Not in English, it's all in Japanese, so it's a miracle we even got it translated out here. Made by Level 5, the same people who made Ni no Kuni as well. They made this short game. And like I said before, it was a digital only game on a 3DS, and the 3DS store is closed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, a couple that I wanted to shout out. One that is just a different version of a game I've played many times, but I enjoyed playing through it. Ninja Gaiden Sigma. First time I played Ninja Gaiden Sigma, but it is just a remake of Ninja Gaiden Black, which is one of my favorite games ever. So that was a lot of fun. Talked about on Party Chat at decent length, but Cocoon was a great puzzle game, and I really enjoyed it. It made me think way outside the box, and there were some puzzles I couldn't figure out, and I had to look up solutions, and they were like mind blowing. I'm like, I never would have figured that out. Great puzzle game and relatively short. Another Metroidvania that got a lot of flack just because of who was involved, and it was actually a pretty decent game. A lot of more people should have given it some more attention than it got in a positive light, because it got a lot of negative attention. That was Tales of Kenzera Zao. Because it was involved with Sweet Baby Inc., which I don't know why it needed it, but it was still a decent game. I know Angry Canadian played it as well, and it's not very long. And it's another 2D Metroidvania that is not pixel art, and I enjoyed it. So definitely not in top 10 category, but it was fun, and I would recommend it to anyone who enjoys Metroidvanias. And then lastly, Dishonored 2. I played through all three of the Dishonored games, and Dishonored 2 is definitely the best one. The biggest issue I had with it was the achievements in the game. Definitely took away from a lot of the enjoyment of the game. If I was to play it again now that I have all the achievements, it would be way more fun, because the achievements basically is like playing on hard mode, because you have to beat it without like leveling up your abilities. So after beating it, then you can play through it again, use all your abilities, and it makes it way more fun. So the achievements kind of took a lot of the fun away from the game. So I do like another like partial playthrough in order to finish up getting a few achievements, and just playing the first few levels and having all my powers and not have any restrictions due to achievements. I was like, oh, this is fun. So Dishonored 2 is, in my opinion, and probably most people's opinion, the best game in the Dishonored franchise, and that's a really good game. So a couple of my runner-ups that I just wanted to mention.
All right, cool. Well, that will bring an end to this week's episode. Neo, thank you for once again co-hosting with me. It was very fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad we were able to do this, because it would have been a few weeks before we would have been able to get a chance to do this. So it all worked out. Sorry, Brian, you're not feeling good, but I'm glad that I was able to take your slot.
Yes, exactly. And hopefully we will have an episode with Brian coming up relatively soon, too. We are going to call this one for the last show of the year, and we will be taking a 2-week break after that. So have a good Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year for you guys out there who are watching. And, we got a couple more shows on this channel proper that will end out the year here, and also on Neo's channel. Neo, what do we have coming up on your channel before we close out the year?
I got 2 more streams left this year. I will be continuing Metroidvania Monday on Monday, and I'm still playing Metroid Prime 4. I'm pretty close to the end, so I'm fairly confident that I will be able to finish the game on Monday, and that'll add one more game that came out this year that I beat, so that may potentially make it into my top 5 games of 2025. We shall see. And then my last stream is on Tuesday. We have the last Party Chat of the year. As I mentioned earlier, Tyler from Game Shelf will be our guest host for that one.
All right, cool. Yeah, definitely looking forward to ending Party Chat off on a strong note, for sure. All right. As for us over here on our side of the channel, Tomorrow we will be back on with Mr. Extra Zero, Angry Canadian, and Tyler from Game Shelf to celebrate the end of the year RNG award show where we talk about our game of the year, candidates, other favorite games, giving special shout out and props to them too. So definitely look forward to that. Come over and listen to us talk about what we all liked as our game of the year. If you don't want Expedition 33 to be the only game that wins everything, good news. A lot of us liked it, but we didn't make it our game of the year, so that's a small spoiler there. No Expedition 33, as far as I know, knock on wood, will dominate every category. And then this upcoming Saturday, we will be joined by Mr. Insidious Bliss, my buddy Fernando, aka Mr. Metal Shred Freak, and my buddy Grim. And we're going to be doing our top 5 most anticipated games of 2026. So stop by to see some good trailers and maybe write down a few games that you either forgot were coming out or put them on your wish list now and check them out. And then this Sunday, we will be wrapping up our show with some RNG channel updates, as well as talking about some gaming news and covering some other stuff I wanted to talk about before the year closes because I think they're relevant and I think they're personal to me. So you'll be hearing updates about what we're planning to do for the channel and everything else like that. That will start at noon Central Time on Sunday, and that will be the last live stream of 2026 for this channel and live content. Oh, sorry, 2025. Sorry.
You're already in the future.
Yeah, basically, it's almost here.
Yep, it's very close. It's Christmas a week from today.
Yeah, I know. And on top of that, too, we will also be having a lot of pre-recorded content coming out there. A lot of Steelbook videos. I've got 4 of them in the can right now. I'm working on a couple more, but also maybe some other pre-recorded content I have scheduled with other people still to come. So there will be more collection content. We will talk about that when we cross that bridge. But until then, everyone, we will see you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central Time. Get ready, get excited, learn about video games. And we'll see you all later. Have a good one.